back. Adventures in Middle-earth. That always gets me fired up for AME. Adventures in Middle-earth is back, and we are back with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Arvanauts, to a Tuesday stream. It is 20 minutes after 12 p.m. Eastern. It is July 10th, 2018, and we are looking forward to Wilderland Adventures, which you just saw pop up there on your screen. Good to see everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and I hope everyone is enjoying themselves and staying cool, although I've heard for some people it's actually not so much. I feel like for a while everyone was in a heat wave, and now it feels like it's sort of all over the place. It's warm here today. Not ridiculous, but it's definitely warm. But I hope you are managing to survive as best you can. One quick thing I want to say about that, Marinda, is I'm happy to answer that question, but the basic thing I would say very quickly is that it depends upon the author in question for both of those. Usually authors will try to get paid by the word. So a certain number of cents per word, usually industry standard rates or a little bit above that, depending on the nature of the author and how fast it's being asked for. And usually the time frame has something to do with the payment also. So if the author can do it at all, a lot of it has to do with, do you need it? How quickly do you need it? And if you need it faster, that's going to increase the rate of pay also, because it means that they have to put other things to the side to work on the given project. So it depends on the author and it depends on the rate, but usually it's a per word rate, and then it just depends on what each author says. And I'm happy to talk more about that on Discord or email or whatever the case may be. And I'm happy to have other authors, perhaps, Hugo winning ones, award-winning ones that I happen to have on my channel, talk about that as well. But it's a pleasure to see everybody today. Welcome to two things. We have got, first of all, Adventures in Middle-earth, Day 25 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Wilderland Adventures, Those Who Tarry No Longer. So that is going to be the first thing that we'll be doing today, which is getting back together with the gang as they are dealing with the Eagles and the Eries, and we're looking forward to talking about that today. That is first thing. And then the second thing that we've got going on today is the announcement, which I will do towards the end of the session today, the announcement of the Arvanaut Idol 3 semifinalists. So we have the semifinalists have been chosen, and I will make that announcement today. There will be two semifinals, and I'm going to announce the dates of the two semifinals as well. I will then announce the final sometime in the next week. I don't have the details of the final, but I do have the details of the semifinal dates and times, and so I will talk about that when we get there. So for those of you who have entered into Arvanaut Idol 3, you have a couple hours to wait, but then I will make the announcement, and then you will see that whether you made it in or not. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Now, quick couple of things about the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure as well to check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, where you can see past broadcasts of the stream, !ArvCord, where you can check out the Discord, where we hang out in between the streams. Oh my goodness, the resub is there. Because Gamer Main gifted a tier 1 sub to Marinda. Thank you, Gamer. Thank you very much, Gamer. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for gifting a sub to Marinda. Marinda now gets to use the Arvany hype, and we will have custom sub badges coming soon as well to the channel, but you'll be able to use that far and wide across Twitch. Thanks, Gamer. Appreciate that, dude. So there we go. Get hyped. That's it. So, thanks, man. So yes, so we have got, that going on. We've got the, YouTube, we've got the Discord, we've got my Twitter, !ArvTweets. If you want to tweet out this stream, please do, !CTT or !tweet. Either one of those will do the job. Please type that in so that you can retweet the stream. That is always appreciated. And then let's see what else we've got. !ArvShop will get you over to my merchandise shop. We are going to be expanding that soon with stuff coming first, probably from Esper Genesis, and then we'll be adding stuff in, hopefully from Cubicle 7 down the line. But we've still got right now, of course, Infinity and Beyond merchandise over there, so check that out. And then last but certainly not least, we've got the Patreon and the subsystem. Patreon is sitting right there at $383.96. All of this would help. Wait a second. Why did I just get disconnected? Am I disconnected? Or am I still going? Am I going okay or not? I just got, am I up or am I good? Why is this saying reconnect? Hold on a second. Okay. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Am I back up? Am I back up? I should be running now. Am I up and running? Yes. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Back up. Am I back up? Am I running? Can you? Let's see. Am I back up now? Am I running? Am I back up there? Hello, hello. Test, test. Can anyone hear me? Am I back up? The resub. Am I there? Am I there? Can you see refresh but not up? Why am I not up then? Okay. There we are. Okay, cool. Thanks. We were resub. Thank you for the resub, Tarry, very much. Thank you for the resub. I don't know why that happened. I have no idea. Everything was going just fine. I didn't have any drop frames. It just suddenly disconnected. So sorry. I have no idea what happened there, but we're back up now. So, okay. So now we're good. Sorry. No idea why that happened. No clue, but I'm back up now. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. So, apologies. Anyway, thank you very much for the resub, Tarry. Thank you again for the gift sub, GamerMain. Just to finish up, Patreon support is a big thing. Definitely helps the channel. You can get good things for yourself and for the channel. And last but certainly not least, the sub button. We just had a resub from Tarry, who has been with me for 9 months now, which is amazing and awesome. And thank you so much to GamerMain for resubbing, for gifting a sub. That is so appreciated. 1080 is so overrated. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know why they did that, but anyway, it did that. So okay, so schedule wise, Adventures of Middle Earth today. I am going to have Battletech this afternoon. It was going to be D&D with GOG, but unfortunately Screaming Joypad's internet, he just moved house. He just moved, and so Screaming Joypad's internet is not yet connected. It will be live this weekend, but as a consequence, he's not ready to go. So we are going to do Battletech this week, and next week will be D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder next Tuesday. So we've got that going on, but Adventures in Middle Earth as well. Now, the last thing I want to mention is that I will be this weekend at ReaderCon in Boston, and I am hoping to be able to stream one or the other of those days. I may be streaming the second Emberwind session. If you remember, that's the one that John Helfers is DMing, and it's with Tren, Sod, myself, and Brahms. I believe we are going to try to do that, but I can't promise that that's going to happen because it depends on internet and other things. So I'm going to be in ReaderCon in Boston this weekend, hopefully streaming either Friday or Saturday, but not guaranteed. Either way, I hope anyone who is in the Quincy, Massachusetts area will be able to stop by. I've got 4 panels there, one on the redemption narrative, one on dragons, one on interactive fiction and games. I don't know why I'd be interested in that, and one on story and games. So I've got 4 panels plus a reading. So if you want to check me out, would love to see any or all of you there. All right, with that said, now everyone has been super patient, so I am now going to unmute myself so we know that we're finally ready to go after I manage to reconnect, and then I'm going to unmute them, and then I'm going to head over in no uncertain terms to there. There we go. They are there, and we are there, and they are now audible, or at least they should be. Hi, everyone. We are now here and running, and we're not going to disconnect again, I hope. There is my intrepid crew, including Amal, right now, just an empty chair, but soon will be her as well. And we're going to scroll right down to the first person on our list, and that, of course, is the inimitable Trendane. Oh, as we just lost Amal. That's all right. Is this your fault? Did you say something?
No, she was off. No, I was just mouthing the words to make you think I was muted. No, she went to Nuke Coffee, so apparently her microwave and internet are on the same frequency.
Oh, I see. Okay, well that certainly makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
actually, I had that happen in a house I used to live in 2 houses ago. The wireless router and the microwave were on the same frequency.
Yeah.
And so anytime anybody microwaved anything, all the wireless would just shut off.
Oh, crazy.
And we couldn't figure it out. And for a long time, I was like, we struggled with it. We couldn't figure it out. And one day I was nuking something, and my housemate, Penn, was like, the net just cut out. I'm like, hang on. And I paused the microwave, and I'm like, see if it's back. And he's like, yeah. And I hit start again, and he's like, and now it's gone. I said, it's the microwave. And everybody was like, what? And his boyfriend, who was like an IT guy, came downstairs and was like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, it's the microwave. And he looked at the front, it's like 1300 hertz or something. He's like, it is the microwave. It's like, so we switched out microwaves and everything was fine.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I'm Tren. The microwave storytelling, voice actor person who is playing Tawny Bear the Hearthminder, a Beorning healer who is hopefully a friend of Eagles.
Yep. We're all hoping that that's the case. Yeah, I know the pictures are fouled up because Amal just disconnected for some reason.
I'll just lean up a little bit further.
Yeah, I was gonna say she will reconnect, because what's gonna happen is I will start fixing this, and the minute I bring it over to Will to do that,
Right.
she will return. So that's how it always goes. And I will do that. I love how everyone tries to like lean up, scroll, like lean over, like now I am visible. Oh man, yeah, it can affect certain Wi-Fi's. It's really weird. But it was an electrical thing, right? It wasn't just a Wi-Fi thing. It was an electrical thing.
It was. I mean, there's a lot of magnetics coming out of a microwave. So
that's what happens with the 2.4 gigahertz band. Oh, really? I have a 5 gigahertz band on this router, and I never use it, and I guess I could if I had to. So, see? I was almost ready to start messing around with it, and then I would have known this would have happened. Yeah, we were just joking, Amal, that obviously your coffee maker is on the same, frequency as your router. So
that has never happened before. I came back and I was like, what? I started typing into our outside Zoom chat window to be like, what is going on? Why is this broken? And then that wasn't working, and my internet just briefly died apparently. And but it didn't look like it had. Just a weird blip. Solar flares. That's what I'm going with.
Solar flares. Well, it's spreading. No, what it is that we've all been hanging out too much together, and so Tren's internet is gradually infecting each one of us, like step by step. But Tren just got done introducing himself, so it is good to have Tren here. Always a pleasure, of course. And moving right on down the line, we have got Will, who is hanging out with us today. Will from Encounter Roleplay. Hello, Will. How are you? How's life and the universe, etc.?
No, life is good. Life is good. It's fun being on this side of the on this time zone, I guess. So this is like actually midday for me. And
exactly.
A little bit later, it's like, this is like actually morning. So I'm waking up and having coffee and playing Lord of the Rings rather than it being 5 p.m. And I'm like waiting all day for Lord of the Rings. So I'm excited. I am hoping that I'm also I'm actually looking forward to my new Eagle mount, which I will
sure. I'll bet you
wherever I go. I'm playing Robar Staunton, the Dunedain Ranger, who is generally a little grumpy, but right now he's on top of the world.
Nice.
He's the king of the world.
I see what you did there. Yeah, exactly. Is someone going to do the Titanic like out in the front, like with the wind blowing in your face?
Just have an eagle perch right below it, and then have another eagle on its back flapping so the wind is going by. Yeah.
That sounds exactly how these eagles would behave. Like not at all. Would you mind just doing that? Anyway, but always a pleasure to have Will here, and you guys should check out his channel where he does a lot of awesome D&D stuff. And the production values are off the hook good and all that stuff. So you should check out Will's work. Moving right on down the line, we have, of course, the extraordinarily talented, both in cartoons and hat wear, and that, of course, is Tarry Tunes. Hello, Tarry. How are you?
It's me. Hi. I'm doing okay. Not much to talk about, I guess.
Stop. Okay.
I have tea. That's news.
So wait, are those curtains to your left? See, I thought that was actually looking out at a woodland scene. The woodland scene is actually on the curtains?
It's trees on the curtains.
Trees on the curtains.
Yes.
See? That's nice.
Sounds like a euphemism.
Trees on the curtains. Yeah, that's my next folk band. His trees on the curtains.
For the trees.
Yeah, exactly. I lose the curtains for the trees. But well, it is good to even with nothing to report, it is good to have you back with us, Tarry. And of course, Tarry will be with us as well for the next couple of weeks. Next week, and then a couple weeks after that, because she's doing Lone Wolf next week, and then 2 or 3 weeks from now, I guess it is, if I can.
On the 31st.
On the 31st, yes. It will be the other session of this Adventures in Middle-earth. So you'll see quite a bit of Tarry over the next few weeks. But Tarry, who are you playing today?
I am playing Inge. I want to specify that because I did watch the VOD of last time's session, because I sadly couldn't make it because I was not feeling well.
Right.
And everybody's mispronouncing a name wrong.
Oh no!
Yes, it's Inge, not Inga.
Inge.
First of all, soft G and an E in the end, not an A.
Inge.
Difference.
Inge.
Yes, Inge. There we go.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Oh.
So
Unforgivable.
we could have done the GIF thing and called you Inja, which would have been far worse, I think. Like.
Yeah, I'm going. Bye.
I was just gonna say, that's the right.
Yep, exactly.
No, yeah, I'm playing Inge. She is a dwarven mason who is from the people of the Erebor. Now I'm mispronouncing everything.
Aha!
And she is a wanderer. And like with like since I know like everybody always mentions like their specializations and stuff. What's it called again? Archetype. Like she went with an archetype not from Adventures in Middle Earth, but instead with one from what was it called? Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So like she is now kind of a wanderer. Thief combination. Like she is a scout now, according to the archetype. That's like her thing. Yes, so that's her thing. And she has a trusty pony sidekick named Lilleman.
Who is one of the two animal companions for the group. So that really the group always has 6, 4, and then Lilleman and Stone sort of hanging out. That's going to be the spin-off. Will be the Lilleman Stone spin-off buddy adventure. Which will definitely happen at some point down the line. But always a pleasure to have Tarry with us, and I am looking forward to seeing what happens with Inga today, as opposed to
with what name?
No, I didn't. Inga. I did not say it wrong. Inga.
With an E in the end, not an A.
Inga.
Inga.
No, wait. You just said Inga now.
Inga.
Did I
No,
mishear
Inga.
that? Inga. Yeah. Inga.
I don't know anything.
Good enough. Just
Yeah.
Friend. I'm gonna call you friend. Brothers.
No.
Of mine.
No, it's fine. Move on.
I'll just do like Ing.
Or
And
go
sort of
Canadian.
Trail
Go
off. Yeah. Ing A. Inga A.
Yeah.
All right. I will work on
Short for Ingeborg.
Ingeborg. Okay.
Yeah.
See.
So that's like scraps the Borg part.
I was going to say I'm not calling you Borg. That's going to go across very poorly. Well, it's a pleasure to have Tarry here. I'm looking forward to seeing how she plays her character, whose name I will totally have pronounced properly soon.
I believe in you.
Yeah, Faith. Moving right down the line, of course. Last but certainly not least, we have just back from convention fun times is Amal. Hello, Amal. How are you?
Hello.
So, how were convention fun times? And I understand that you're just going to be now hanging at home, just totally resting for a while, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I want to blame my husband for this, but I can't because I love him too much. But it is his fault. But anyway, we went to Convergence in Minneapolis this weekend, which is an amazing, amazing, amazing convention that I can't recommend enough. I'm a little convoy-y from it. I was one of the guests of honor, and they were having a big 20th anniversary, which they called Natural 20 as well. So I approved of the theme. It was great. I was on wonderful panels. I saw beautiful, gorgeous, amazing cosplay. Got to see friends and participate in a lot of things. One of the panels I participated on was called, I've forgotten the full name of it, but basically it was about what do we do when white supremacists like try to appropriate our stuff that we love, like for instance, Tolkien. And it was a really good discussion that boiled down to fuck them. No one can take Tolkien from us. And then Scott Lynch drew me as a cartoon with a tiny Tolkien that no one could take from me, which made me really happy.
Nice.
Can we see that anywhere?
Yes, I will in fact put it into Arv's chat right now because I prepared a copy of the link. Here we go. Ba-boing. There. So yeah.
Look at this.
He's Scott then apologized profusely for having misrepresented Tolkien as having a beard, which he
inaccurate. True.
Inaccurate. But to his credit, like he recognized that right away, whilst I was being charmed by just having been immortalized in
That's pretty cool.
I'm totally framing this. I'm totally framing this and like putting it on my wall. So.
Oh yeah, I dig it. I think that's great.
That is so cute.
I know,
J.R.R.
right?
Tolkien. That's the best. Oh man, that is funny.
So,
That's
it
good
was-
stuff. I can
great.
totally see Scott doing that also. That fits very much his
Scott Lynch
personality.
is, in addition to being an absurdly brilliant writer, an absurdly wonderful human being, and he actually DM'd half of a Star Wars one-off role-playing game for a few of us, which was also really neat. We didn't quite finish the heist that we were supposed to be doing, but we might pick it up again next year at Convergence, so we'll see.
Very cool.
But we got back yesterday afternoon to Ottawa, and I am flying to London tonight at 10 p.m. So I'll have been home for roughly 36 hours before having to leave again. Just enough time to like scritch the cats and then jet off again, and then they'll be away till the 24th. And yeah, but going to be in the UK in time to see the Trump diaper balloon float above Parliament.
Nice.
And
Nice.
What now?
potentially also be there in time to watch the government fall. I'm not totally sure.
The blimp will be up more than the UK government will be. Hey,
Wait,
Hey!
somebody
man.
tell me what's happening.
Well, my understanding is that a group of people crowdfunded an enormous balloon shaped like a toddler Trump in a diaper to fly above Parliament during Trump's visit to Britain later this week,
Yeah.
on the 13th, I think it is. And initially, when they applied to planning permission for the city was like, no. But then the mayor, Sadiq Khan, got wind of it and was like, yeah, this is happening.
Yep.
Yep. So,
That guy's epic too.
Yeah.
Completely
Best
deserves
mayor
it.
ever.
I just
Sounds amazing.
I just put in Trump blimp, and I'm actually going to go pull this up so I can actually. Okay, here we go. Ready to feast your eyes, people. Right there. There we go. In all of its glory. By the way, that's actual life size, so that's actually an appropriate
The
representation.
tiny hands are just fantastic.
Yeah, exactly right. I love everything about that. And the thing I love as well are the people who are continually screaming about special snowflakes, who are so, in quotes, triggered by a blimp of Trump floating over it. It's just great. It's great, and I think it's worth exactly as much as our president is.
It's
so
like
that's
the type
great.
of people who used to make like all the trigger jokes all the times are now the ones like getting triggered
it's
constantly.
almost
and it's like beautiful irony.
Terry, it's almost like everything they say is bullshit projection. It's
No,
almost
you
like
don't say.
everything they say,
crazy.
from being someone else being a criminal to them being triggered, somehow always applies to them. It's miraculous, really, how that goes
I mean,
down.
I think it's not even, this is not a singular instance. It really, I mean, they're so frothy about literally everything. Wow, we're gonna remake Star Wars because there were girls in it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man.
I love the term frothy. These people.
I remember Miranda just said, does anybody else feel vaguely dirty? I'm like, yes. Suddenly I just thought about Rick Santorum on CNN, and I just don't want to talk about that. Listen, I'm just saying. Oh man. Anyway, it's good. So yes.
I'll just say I am departing again to do more travel for 2 weeks. It'll be 1 week in London, 1 week in Glasgow, and there is some very, 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 very slim possibility that there might be some kind of Waterstones thing happening in Glasgow. Probably it won't happen, but I will definitely be spending time in Waterstones in Glasgow if anyone watching is there and wants to say hi. But I am playing the River, who is a woodsman of Rosgobel, and her faithful hound Stone. River is a warden who's also a herald, right? Warden herald.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's where I'm at. By the way, I don't know when this will be appropriate, but I mentioned at some point, I can't remember if it was last session or on the Twitters, that I was you know what? Maybe it should just come up in the game. That's fine. Never mind.
Oh well.
River being a fighty bard, occasionally she might write tunes about the adventures and things.
Is this related to the Anduin?
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
That okay? I'll have to think about when. No. Yeah, you just have to make sure you do it at some point. That's all I'm gonna say. You just have
The
to.
lyrics are here right now. It is still a work in progress, but there are at least 3 verses right now, and vague ukulele form. And yeah, I don't know that I actually specified what instruments she plays. I don't know if there are ukes in Middle Earth. There are stringed instruments. There
yeah,
are harps.
absolutely stringed instruments for sure, and
They're
there's certainly lutes.
Hobbit guitars is
Hobbit guitars, yeah.
I'm actually, one of the things I'm going to do in the UK is hopefully bring my small harp back, which I had there for a number of years. So if I bring the small harp back with me, it should hopefully, knock on wood, after the travel, be in better shape than my big harp. So that, you know, there could be harping in.
Nice.
Maybe once they get to a homely house, perhaps, if that's in the works.
Nice. I can't wait. I am very excited for that, and I assume that of the 3 verses, 2 3/4 of them are about Robar. So I think that'll be, you know. Then the second time he failed, he was, you know, like.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
I think we've all failed a roll on the Anduin.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone
We've all
has.
failed at least one roll, but Robar has failed.
Robar has led the way.
All
All right, well, let us. It's a pleasure to have Amal with us, and let us get into it, folks. We are here on, as we said, the top of the world right now, so to speak. In the beginning of this particular adventure of Those Who Tarry No Longer, the party was tasked with leading an elven princess, Irame, from the eaves of Mirkwood across to at least the eastern side of the Misty Mountains. And it became clear, also, just by the way, also having to be escorted by Legolas. You know, just happens to be there. Just randomly thought I'd bring that up. But as they are in the process of doing this, it quickly became clear that not only was Irame herself haunted by both her age and some of the approaching darkness that she feels coming sometime in the future, but also by real-world concerns and circumstances, specifically a band of orcs that was pursuing them, directed by something, it's not clear as to what or whom, attempting to try to get her. Eventually, the party, after several attempts to cross the Anduin, which were eventually successful, managed to stay ahead of some of the orcs, but not all of them. A second set of orcs basically came down in an attempt to cut them off, and so the party ended up making its stand on the appropriately named Hill of Woe. There was a whole lot of battling going on and a whole lot of fighting going on, and indeed there were difficult moments for everyone concerned, and I don't want to overdo it, but I would say it's fair to say that all looked pretty close to lost. At least it looked to be in a very difficult situation until, seemingly at the last moment, the eagles themselves arrived, and I believe I still have the picture of that moment when it happened. This is a live, photograph of actual real-life play when they were all
you're
captured.
going for the live recreation.
Live recreation of
Like,
what happened. Yeah,
Here's the
exactly.
live playback.
Exactly. It sounded like this. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Someone had a Nolaroid camera. I'm sorry, I had to.
It's cute. It's cute. Well done. Well done. I see what you did there. So it was the Hill of Woe, and I was looking forward to seeing how these folks were going to handle it. But they did manage to escape with the eagles, who brought them up to their eyries. And after the party had, out of character, appropriately squeed a bit about having been saved by the eagles, we find ourselves now at the top of the mountains. And one thing I want to remind the party of is that they did not do this entirely unscathed. First of all, they themselves were injured, and in fact, I believe 3 out of the 4 of them were dealing with a level of exhaustion. That's River, Inga, and Robar. Nothing from Tony Bear yet. I think Tony Bear was okay as far as that was concerned. But also that their guides, the ones who actually brought them here, also had an injury. Specifically, one of the eagles was shot with an arrow during the escape. And we'll talk about the potential implications for that as we get there. Now, what I'm going to do as we start here is I'm going to say that the party's hit points here will be restored to full, but not your level of exhaustion, not unless you have a chance to do more of this. It would be nice to say that you rested just as well in the areas as you did back home, but actually not so much. You did get some sleep, enough to be able to heal yourselves, but not enough to be able to recover that exhaustion yet. So you'll have to think about other ways that you can perhaps address that. And so having said that, though, everyone is back up to full. So I believe, River, that makes you 22 out of 22. Stone is 12 out of 12. Inga is 28 out of 28. I believe. Is that right?
Well, if it's full, then yes.
Then yes. Okay. Tani would be 20 out of 20. Right. And Robar would be 31 out of 31, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Right. One other mechanical bit of business, which is that the arrival of your journey has not happened yet, but will be happening soon. You actually were technically in the middle of a journey when all this happened. You might remember that because Will was kind of like, "Did we arrive?" and thus get advantage checks on the skill, but that was not the case. Yes, you had.
So Inga has 1 level of exhaustion, right?
Yes,
Just
correct.
like,
Everyone but Tani has 1 level. Yes, of
and
exhaustion.
no inspiration or anything. Like I don't like.
Right,
that
there's
wasn't
no
there last
inspirations
time.
right now, but I do want to remind chat that the inspirations have now been updated, and so they reflect current monthly totals. So if you're curious, if you have it, just type in !inspiration space -have, and it will tell you whether you can give inspiration or not to any of our intrepid crew. Okay, so with that said, you are now at the top of the Erie, and as the next morning dawns, and dawns very chill, it is very cold up here, high in the mountains, and you are very high. The wind is whistling past you as you sort of wake up on this hard stone, feeling somewhat relieved nonetheless, having been escaped in the way that you were able to. There's no creatures are actually in this very large stone shelf on which you have been set. There are no creatures there as of yet. Presumably there will be some soon, but you are woken by just the first light of the sun as dawn has arrived. And so you have a minute or two to chat presumably before things start arriving. The elves are also on this stone shelf with you, but not, you notice, Irame. Now, the elves don't seem to be freaked out about that, so maybe Irame went somewhere first, one of the other Eries, but she is not here. But the other elves and you are here. So, what would you like to do?
Tawny would like to tend the eagle that was shot.
Okay, so the eagle that was shot is not here. There are no eagles here yet. However, keep that in mind, because we'll see whether that comes into play. Okay. Yes. Other,
River's on waking up is just her eyes are still a little sore from having had whatever horribleness thrown into them, and just kind of blinks around and how's that? I thought I dreamt this, but I guess not. Here we are.
No, it's real. I think.
The eagles actually rescue us.
Yeah.
What? I didn't. Is everyone else all right? I didn't. No, wait. No, it's all clearing up. All right. Yes, we're here. Where is Irame?
Don't know. Probably healing up as well if she was hurt. I didn't see.
No idea.
I feel a lot better now.
By the way, you all notice that both Stone and Lillimon are huddled together about as far away from the edge as they could get. Like they're sort of jammed up against the wall, and Lillimon is basically sort of, with his left side up against the stone wall, and Stone is lying down next to him, sort of like kind of almost covering over the hooves, and they're sort of, you can tell that they're very, very distant as far as they could possibly get from not very far from the edge, because this isn't a very large shelf when all of you were on it anyway. But yeah.
Irva's gonna get up and stretch and walk over to Stone and Lillimon and just kind of cuddle them a little bit.
Stone is very, sort of nuzzles you. You can tell that he's shivering a little bit. He is not crazy about being Arrow Dog in this case. So as you were all sort of looking around and chatting with each other, you suddenly see, and I believe we'll actually say that it's Robar first, who looks out and sees on the horizon 2 large winged creatures flying towards you. And they're doing so, at first you can barely see them on the horizon, and then within a few seconds they seem to have closed, they seem to be going at an incredible rate of speed. And as they get closer to you, you also realize that these are very large creatures indeed. One of them larger than the other. And as they're sort of going faster and faster, and then they pull up and land on the edge, and the elves and the rest of you sort of have to back up a few steps to give them room to stop. One of them is somewhat smaller than the other, brown, large feathers on the wings, but the eagle's head, clearly it's an eagle, the eagle's head is lowered a little bit. And then the one in front bears on his back someone that is actually sliding to the ground, and you can see that it's actually Irame who is sliding to the ground off of the back of this person, this creature. Now, this creature is enormous, and as you sort of take a look at it, and it stretches out its wings are so long that it is probably 100-foot wingspan from tip to tip. And on the head itself, you can see something sparkling, perhaps a circlet of gold that is sparkling on its head. And he looks down upon all of you, and even though Irame was with him, Irame sort of comes out from behind him and stands in front of him, looking at him. And she looks at him quietly and says, "Again, I would thank you publicly for what I said privately. Thank you for saving us when you had no need to do so. You have always been the Lord of the Wind." And he responds with, oh, not that, sorry.
Wow.
He becomes evil.
Robot eagle.
Sorry. He responds
On a
with,
motorcycle on the way over.
yeah, exactly. He responds with, "We heard your song on the wind, but it was the light that guided us to you. Long has there been friendship between your kind and mine, and we came when we were needed." He turns back to you, and as he turns his head, you were struck not only by the size, as I've already mentioned, but you're also, and the sort of the incredible curve and sharpness of the beak, and the enormous talons and the whole business, but also the eyes, which are this large and dark brown, but they seem almost fathomless, as if they have seen great sights from distance and have somehow absorbed them into themselves, so that you are looking not only at him, but all that he has seen at the same time. And he turns to you and he says, "Garethor, one of my chieftains, was grievously wounded as he rescued you from the orcs. Tell me, whose lives did he buy with his courage?" And he stares at you, and the elves sort of look at you as well. Irame sort of turns and quietly looks at you also.
Tony kind of inclines his head to Robar.
River is like super, super odd.
Yeah, Inga as well.
Just-
Like she's just standing there.
Just blinking. But yeah. But River will blink and recover if no one else looks like they're going to say anything. They'll be like, "Oh wait, do I usually do this?"
Be aware, by the way, this is an audience.
Yeah. Right. I'm really nervous. I'm sorry.
Me too. This guy comes in like, so
Hi!
Thanks a lot!
You used a really big, scary voice.
We're great heroes!
Do you ever walk around in real life with like just this voice amplification system, and whenever you want to be taken seriously, a bank clerk or something? Or
Perhaps.
what politicians to do.
Yes, I do.
Like start talking about a lot of reverb all of a sudden.
It's definitely true. What do you mean shipping is not till Friday?
Oh, okay. No, so River will come a step forward away from the animal and look around at everyone else and say, "I am called the River of the Woodsmen of Roscobel." And
Just before you go on, as you say Woodman, you can see that his eyes narrow, and he kind of lowers his head as if appraising you.
And it has been my honor and privilege to travel with these companions. And she'll go on to introduce each of them. It's still quite like extremely feeling her smallness and humble in the presence of this great people.
Okay. You introduce everyone. Do you introduce their names, and do you also say just like a wanderer, a blah 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 blah? Do you mention anything about some of the things that they do? Do you mention Robar being a Dunedain? Do you mention Tawny Bears? I just want to know what you say about each of them.
Good question. I was trying to skip that, not wanting to forget anything, but I think she'll kind of look at everyone as she's saying so. And I think she'll say, Tawny Bear of the Bjornings and Inga of, did I say that right? Anyways.
Yeah, you said it right. He again narrows his eyes further at the Bjornings.
I know how it's right.
Basically, she'll give their more their provenance than like any further. Like she's not going to try and exalt them, but instead just kind of stick to the facts as she has heard them introduce themselves to other people as well, and we'll say of the Dunedain, yes.
Okay. So you do that, and still with his eyes narrowed, the Lord of the Eagles says, I hear your words, and indeed the mortal races are most good at providing words for their companions. However, I do not see some of your deeds upon your back, Woodman. Is it not so that some of your people have at times hunted mine for sport?
River actually looks quite taken aback by this. Have they? Out of curiosity?
Well, not for sport, but they have shot at them, yes, because the eagles sometimes have... You're the sheep, yep.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I remembered that, but she also lives, like, with Radagast, so probably not for sport.
True. Maybe a disagreement in perspective.
Yes, exactly. But she looks quite stunned at that suggestion, and she goes, "We hunt nothing for sport. I have, of course, but what we do is keep sheep. And on occasion, I think there have been disputes over whether the sheep belong to us or to your people. And in such cases, I can imagine that there may have been shots fired. Not that, but that said, but no, my people cannot hunt for sport, for we are frugal people who live from the land and the sheep that we have at our disposal and seek no enmity with those nearby."
And Lord of the Eagles does not nod, just sort of stares at you, almost through you for a minute, and then turns his unblinking gaze to Tawny Bear and says, "And you, one of the Bjornings, as you are called, is it not the case that at times your people have come into some dispute with mine? Was it also for a misunderstanding or a disagreement, as your friend here says?"
Now, for those of us who have forgotten the particular moments he's talking about, what is he talking about?
Well, so again, the Bjornings...
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, basically. Well, so the thing about the Bjornings is that the Bjorn, as you know, is not the most diplomatic of peoples. And so there have been times when the Bjornings have basically said, we want to, live in this land as we will, and the Eagles have said, but this is, we get to hunt here, and the Bjornings, and Bjorn was like, well, I mean, yeah, but not if it's going to take away from my people, and there was not a lot of, well, let's work this out. It was more like, listen, this is what I'm going to do, and if you don't like it, you can lump it. And that was more or less what we got from both the Bjornings and the Woodmen. Now, it's not open warfare, but there is definitely distrust between the groups. Also because you're allied with the Woodsmen who do this sometimes. So from the Eagles' point of view.
It's hilarious to me that in a land that is ostensibly England/New Zealand, there should be a shortage of sheep for
that's true.
all and sundry to consume. But
you make a good point.
If we can get them to breed like cane toads. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it now.
Yeah. So do you? I mean, so.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Bonnie's gonna respond.
Okay.
he takes a moment. There's a garbage truck going by outside too. So.
I'm clearing his throat.
Yeah.
That's the eagle.
Eagle horks up and got it.
I am sorry for the garbage eagle. It was not mine.
It's a Tuesday. We do this every Tuesday.
It's fun. Try it.
It's recycling, you bore.
It's recycling day.
Be very careful with your words. Your dog is looking very sheep-like. Would you please drive on?
Oh God.
Right.
Oh, I'm so dead. Okay. Sorry.
There is no doubt that there have been, as you put it, disputes. But if you would prefer actions to balance against words, the general of yours that was injured, if I may, I would very much like to use my healing skills to tend him, if you would allow.
So he pauses, and his eyes widen, not like in surprise, but just like unnarrowed a little bit. And he says, "So, you would offer to heal one of mine. And if I permit this, if I allow you to attempt to help, can I be sure that you will do what you can to make the problem better and not worse? I ask this not from accusation, but from sad experience."
You have my word.
Make a persuasion check for me, please. Do it at +2.
Good, because his persuasion is not good. So that would be an 11.
Okay. So he seems hesitant, and he says, "Although I appreciate your offer, I am concerned about allowing one of yours to treat one of mine. There is, it must be said, precedent for this. I myself had this healing done some years before." And you can actually, he lifts his wing, and you can see underneath his enormous weight, like as he lifts his wing, like the elves, some of them have to like duck, you know, like to get, because of the way he lifts it up. And, but underneath his wing, you can see there is one spot where the feathers do not cover entirely a wound, a very clear, obvious wound that was healed some years ago. And he says, "But it was not a mortal that healed this, but one of the group that you call wizards, one of the wise."
And immediately Tawny turns his head towards the river.
Like an assist. River, still. River is an inner turmoil that sounds a lot like a garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds a lot like a garbage truck.
Yeah.
What's up, Nonstop?
Remind me of like the healing that he did most recently. Just like he healed the spear that like he'd had. What's it? Robar had just been like stabbed through by a spear. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of like the most impressive feat that she has seen Tawny do. As opposed
Well, it was
to,
specifically his mentioning of wizard. That was the moment that Tawny turned to look.
Oh, right. Yes, I forget this as well. God, does she want to claim acquaintance with a wizard that healed her
because
poorly?
Tawny's next words are going to be, "Would that be your wizard?" You know.
My wizard. So, well, what River says instead is, "I have had some acquaintance with wizards. Radagast the Brown lives among my people, but what I have seen Tawny do with his healing is quite different. And I cannot speak enough to his skill and to what he has done to save our lives on many occasions. I've seen him make our friend Robar whole after an orc spear thrust, and he's cleared vile pitch from my eyes, and I know my words are only words to you, and that my deeds are not yet on my back, but for whatever they are worth, Tawny's skill is not to be spoken lightly of.
And he pauses, and he looks at Robar, and he says, "And you." Oh, damn it! Sorry. He says, "And death." He says, "And you, one of the Dunedain. Is it true that you, who live longer than most of the mortal races, were saved by this Bjorning? Can you speak his truth to me?"
I can. I can say with certainty that Tawny has saved my life more times than I could care to admit to, with both wounds from orcs and devils, but also more natural occurring disasters like rivers
And
things of that nature.
And then he says, and he again does not nod or reply or anything. He just sort of stares at you. And then last he looks down at Inga and says, "And you, a dwarf who spends their times tunneling under mountains and not climbing over them, what would you say? You are known to be hardy folk and do not give your word easily. Do you also agree that this healer of yours speaks from truth and not falsehood?"
Well, so Inge looks like really uncomfortable here.
Yeah, he's towering
like
over you,
basically
you know.
she is like throwing like a quick glance at Tawny and then like back at the eagle, and then goes, well, I mean, believe me if I when I say that Tawny had to prove himself several of times, and he has even managed to win me over in the long run. I've been traveling with him for quite some time by now, and he has proven himself worthy.
Oh, please, praise him with fainter dams.
Because yes, we owe him a lot, all of us here.
And he pauses.
I was so glad I'm not playing a different character, because he would probably respond with "Thanks, bite size."
Okay, what I would like the river to do is to make a traditions check. We're going to see how well this introduction went, and then we're going to give Tawny a chance to make this persuasion roll again, but something will depend on how this goes right here.
I was hoping River could make a persuasion roll when she spoke up for Tawny, but I understand that traditions is like the governing mechanic. But
yep. Let's do the traditions first. Let's get that covered first. Okay. So the Lord of the Eagles kind of raises his head and says, and looks down at all of you, and then says to you, and now he lowers his great head. Now he's clearly not meaning to intimidate. It's just he's this huge bird, so he just does because that's what he is. So he lowers his head, River, so that he is now only a foot or two away from you. So the huge beak kind of curving, stares in your face, and he says, "Then will you personally guarantee the safety of Gaerthor, the eagle who was harmed in the attempt to rescue all of you?"
My strength is small and only that of a mortal, but the trust I have for Tawny and his skill is such that if any harm come to him, I would gladly be dashed from these rocks.
And he looks at you, looks at Irame, who's
Give her a look like, why would you say that?
Oh, good to have known you, River.
Ixnay on the Oxray.
That's Tony.
I take a step away.
Speaking for
We are not affiliated with this.
Everybody just takes a slide.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know what lake or
only for myself.
I don't know what lake or brook or stream here has to say, but as far as we're concerned, all right.
Like, how does this go again? I would die for you, then perish, basically.
So he looks down at you. Now I will allow you to make the persuasion check, River, and you can do so if you wish at advantage. And I will allow. Actually, I'm not going to give plus on top of that. I'll let you do the persuasion at advantage. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
How about that? Okay. So he's like, hop on my back. No, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. So he looks at all of you, and you've been able to notice, Inga, that when speaking to you, his tone seemed somewhat friendlier than when he was talking to the others.
I know why.
Yeah. You sort of got that impression. So he's kind of neutral towards you, Robar, from what you could tell, and I already mentioned what he said, but he thinks about it and he says, "Very well. If you are able to heal Gerthor, we will speak more about what must happen next upon your path. I have spoken thus far to mitigate the justice of your plea. I understand that you are not responsible for your people. Yet, if no one is held responsible, actions of evil can fester and grow. Thus you are representatives of theirs, whether you choose to be or not. Be the best representative you can be, Tawny Bear," as he looks and now stares you in the face, "and we will see the results from there." And so he nods to to the eagle behind him, who turns around and clearly offers himself, Tawny, for you to jump on his back if you wish.
Yep.
Okay, so you do that, and both the Lord of the Eagles looks back and says, "For the rest of you, we shall return. We shall return shortly." I was about to say stay here just for fun, but I was like, no, never mind. Don't move. No.
Yeah.
So he takes off and he leads you to another eyrie. And when you land on this one, which is a much smaller shelf, there is actually a perch nearby that the Lord of the Eagles lands on, sort of so he can overlook what's happening. His body casts kind of a shadow in the early morning light upon the stone shelf. And on the stone shelf, you can see lying on its side one of the eagles, which apparently is Gerthor. You can see that it is breathing sort of shallowly as you get off of your eagle, Tawny. And you can see that there is a black, thick wood shaft that is sticking out of its side. There is some blood that is there, some feathers there, and you can see what looks like it might be spittle or drool around the mouth of the eagle's eyes, which are currently closed, which is in itself somewhat shocking because eagles do not close their eyes much. And when they do, they're either asleep or not doing well. And so the Lord of the Eagles says nothing. Your eagle lets you go, and you can now do what you wish. How do you want to proceed?
Okay, I'm going to...
And it's wedged, I'm sorry to interrupt, it's wedged beneath the right wing, by the way. So his wing is kind of like, he moved his wing out of the way, to kind of, because it clearly, every time he moves, you can kind of see his breathing kind of catch as if he's hurt every time that he moves. So this thing is... it's an orc arrow, which were not intended to come out easily.
Then he will go to, you said his name's Gerthor?
Yes, Gerthor.
Using, his best soothing words and essentially just, he will tell Gerthor exactly who he is, why he's there, and what he plans to do and what to expect. That there will be pain upon removing the arrow, but he is going to use his best arts to be able to still the pain as quickly as possible, remove any poisons that may be there, and seal the wound and heal the wound as best he possibly can.
And you can see Gerthor barely shifts. You see him open one great eye and kind of look in your direction, and then close it again. So it's clear that he's understood, but he's too weak to be able to respond. But you can do that. Now you're obviously going to be doing a medicine check here. Chat, I'm going to warn you guys up front. This is a difficult check. So if you want Tani to heal this eagle, I'm going to recommend that you give him a little boost. Also, while they're doing that, Tani, how mechanically, I know you said about the soothing words. Tell me what you're going to do, like specifically to deal with this. Like, are you just like quick jerk of the arrow and try to how are you going to handle addressing the issue as they're deciding if they're going to inspire you?
First, a poultice to try to numb the area around the wound.
Okay.
And then to see how. Try to open it a bit to see how deeply the arrowhead is lodged in, to see if I can maybe, get something in there to cover any barbs that'll make it easier to pull it out.
I'll talk about that in a second. Nonstop has inspired you. Thank you, Nonstop. Nonstop, who is always Nonstop is super clutch with his inspires. He always does well. So no pressure now, Trent. This is just,
Right,
Nonstop.
Well, hey, if we fail, we've got this massive turkey breast that we can. I've got a tarragon vinegar dressing that's gonna go great with this.
It'll maybe cushion River's fall as she is
Yeah, it'll be great.
Possibly, right? No,
I heard all of that.
No!
I'm just kidding.
you heard Tren say that. None of it
Exactly.
sounded like this.
It's fortunate I'm simply an actor. No, he and you can tell that the Lord of the Eagles has his head. Now, of course, the way you would put it is, now his wings are folded behind him, but from the way he's positioned, if he were human, Tani, folding the arms would be sort of what you would expect. That's what it would seem like to you in terms of the way that he's looking upon you. And the guard, of course, is silent, that you rode in on. As you look into the wound to do what I've said previously, you can also tell that on the skin, so below the level of the feathers, on the skin itself, there is a terrible yellow and blackish bruised area around the side of it, which is not just because of the sort of impact of the arrow, but the fact that sometimes these arrows contain a kind of foul poison, which is not necessarily designed to kill by itself, but it just makes it hurt.
Poison?
A foul. Yes. I see what you did there.
Very good.
That's pretty good.
Very nice.
I figured I would feather my nest just a little bit more. And, see, this is what happens when you try to wing some puns. And
No!
oh man. Anyway, so yes, the poison is the reason that this is so horrific is because this is poison that is designed just to make it hurt worse. It's not even deadly poison. It's poison for pain. And so, all right. So now you've managed to numb that. It sort of shifts several times. If there was an equivalent wound that you had experienced, you would be on the ground rolling in agony. You have no idea how it's even sort of holding together unless it's just too exhausted. All right. So you've done that. Now what?
Sif's trying to get in because the wound is probably significant in size.
Yep.
So try to get something in to cover any barbs so that it can be pulled out without catching and tearing more of the flesh.
Okay.
And then once that's out, then staunching any blood and putting in another healing poultice a little bit deeper, and then trying to seal the wound and general healing, blah blah blah.
Okay. Make the medicine check for me. It'll be your normal medicine skill, but you're doing it at advantage here. And your medicine skill is, as I look, yeah, this is +6, right?
Yeah.
So you do this, and you're sort of pulling this out, moving it, shifting it around, and as you pull the arrow out and begin to do it, you can see the great eagle's eyes flicker, sort of the eyelids flicker up and down and on, and you can see that it sort of raises its head towards you, and it raises a wing sort of in your direction, and then falls backward and stops breathing.
You said it stops breathing?
Yes.
doesn't Tawny still have a Hands of a Healer die?
Yeah, he does. I think so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good to know.
I was planning on using those actually. We were doing this medicine check. Okay, Tawny's gonna.
You get one more medicine check. This is the time to do it if you wish.
Yeah. So, yeah, if there's a way to do any kind of CPR on an eagle, but yeah, he said he's going to use his greatest arts, and he intends to, if only for the sake of the river not being dashed on the rocks.
Right.
You know, and it's more than just that. So, yeah. All right, let's see what we can do. Watch, it's going to be double ones. Watch this. Watch.
No.
It's worse.
No!
Did you have no wait? Did the Hands of a Healer, does that add dice on, or is it just, or this is? I've got to take a look and see what Hands of a
Well,
Healer does.
there are my healing spells, and you're having me make a medicine check, which is a different thing.
Mhm.
No, you can use your you can use your healing spell in this case.
Oh,
But
That's
what?
what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me double check though. I want to see what the actual spell is. This is a medicine check that allows you to get to the point where you could even do something like that. Because like I said, this is a bad, is a bad wound. Okay. Devil are your Hands of a Healer thing. Here we go.
And like because I'm just remembering like the healing of Ravar was like laying on of hands and
right, but that was the spell, not a medicine check.
right.
So why am I not able to find this? There we go, I found it. Okay, so you're using a spell?
I mean, that would be my preference.
Okay, yes, you can use a spell here. Important though, what herb are you going to mix? What herb did you mix into the poultice? Can you remember without looking?
For which? For the
For
poison?
the poison, yes.
Athelas.
Okay,
Foil.
go ahead and roll. Let's see how many of the hit points you would restore. So
Roll
this
which?
is the Hands of a Healer, which
Okay.
is the that spell. So go ahead and roll and let's see how much of the hit points you're able to restore.
I'm going to use 2 of my, because I have all 3 of them back after the short rest. I'm going to use 2 of my die, and with the Master Healer, double check this. Master, where'd you go?
As a quick note for everyone who's just like, oh man, healing's no fun. Like, I don't know,
It can
when
be.
do we use healing?
I am very tense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you ain't the only one.
you're not alone. So is the Lord of the Eagles.
So 2, yes. I will use 2 of my healing doohickeys.
Okay.
And as I am a Master Healer, where did it go? It's in here somewhere. I know it is.
You roll 2d8 instead of 1d8. Is that what you're looking for?
Right, but there's another thing. Oh, it's part of the description of the Hands of a Healer. If instead I tend a creature for at least 10 minutes, binding their wounds, treating them with herbs and poultices, and offering soothing words, then you may multiply the 1d8 by your proficiency modifier.
So it'd
So,
be 2d8 by your proficiency modifier in this case.
right, 2d8 times 2.
Okay, let's do it.
Unless you want to use my medicine modifier, which would be times 6.
Nope.
Somehow I
No,
didn't.
I can't go back and forth that way.
I figured, yeah, right. So, Hands of a Healer.
I
Where'd you
need a
go?
medicine check on the knee that I keep bashing against this.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
I'm just gonna do this. Improved healing.
Wow.
So multiply that by 2.
Is it multiply or add?
It's 2d8,
Yeah.
but because I'm spending more than 10 minutes,
Multiply it. Jesus.
that's
Wow.
on the
Okay.
previous page where it first discusses.
Yeah. So it's 34 is what we're talking about.
Right, 34.
Okay. So that's quite a heal. So, so you do this, and you speak softly to it. What language are you using, by the way?
Let's see, what languages do I know? I have my ability tongues of many people.
Okay.
So I probably know a few things from Beorn to be able to speak just kind of crude
Basics.
sentences to various animals, and I would be using that.
Okay. So there's a moment where nothing happens, and then there's a as it inhales breath, and you can see like just sort of you're intent on what's going on, but just over your sort of on the corner of your eye, you can almost notice the Lord of the Eagles sort of shift slightly. There might have been quite a bit of tension there, and as you are sort of working around, you can see that the blood that was flowing now no longer looks to be corrupted and vile, but seems clean. And as you sort of cover over the wound, you can see that the breathing, Gerthor's breathing has eased. And after about maybe a half hour or so of this, the bird eyes open and its wings sort of slightly stretch, not all the way, and then it kind of shifts onto its talons, although it's still obviously pretty slow, and its eyes open, and you find yourself for the moment in the odd experience of being just inches away from its face because of where you were looking, and it sort of looks at you and blinks once, and then it sort of raises its head to the Lord of the Eagles, and the Lord of the Eagles lowers its head in turn, and then nods to the guard and turns and takes off from the perch, and the guard positions himself for you to be able to get yourself on if you wish.
After Tawny spends just a few more moments soothing and telling him it'll be all right, but make sure you rest.
Okay. And the eagle
and gives him a honey cake, whole honey cake.
Yay.
And the eagle sort of looks down at the honey cake and up at you, and then as you're about to get off, you see that it's sort of like tentatively taking like a peck, like at the honey cake, as you take off. When both of you land back on the Erie, all of the rest of you kind of waiting tensely for what the response will be, and you get off, the Lord of the Eagles sort of raises its head and says, "You have done well in healing Gerthor, and I believe your words have true meaning. May it always be so. I will provide you something more if I can. We will take you to much closer, at least, to your destination. And I will say something more. If at some time in this adventure you are in need of us again, we will come to your aid if you are within our reach. Within 50 miles of this place, if you call upon us, we will come and aid you if we may. Our friendship is not easily placed aside, and once won, not easily removed. I thank you." And he lowers his head, and as he lowers his head, you have the sort of astonishing experience of seeing all the eagles that are arrayed on some of the pillars around him all lower their heads at the same time. So there's just a moment where all of the eagles are bowing their heads to all of you. And Irame looks at you, Tawny, and now Irame never smiles, but there is at least something that's sort of just at the edge of her eye that might suggest a kind of thanks, a silent thanks, perhaps. And then the Lord of the Eagles says, "However, our time here grows short, for my people will need to be in the hunt before ere long. If you have rested sufficiently, we would bear you now to the next space in your journey." And Irame sort of nods and says, "We are, of course, at your pleasure, Lord of the Wind." Okay, Do you folks want to do anything before you're taken down by the eagles?
River is surreptitiously wiping away tears from like the just vision of all of the eagles bowing and everything, and also like when Tawny comes back, she's just going to like hug him really hard and say, "There was never a doubt in my mind," and means it too.
One of us.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm thinking she'll want to say something fitting before going, but just as a kind of, it is us who owed you thanks to begin with for saving all of our lives, and as much as you are friends to us, please we are also friends to you, and if ever there is any assistance that we can render, then whatever is in our power, we will do.
And the Lord of the Eagles slightly inclines his head and then turns and gives a great cry, "Caw!" which just, echoes throughout the valley, and then takes off. And these, now, I mentioned before, I should have mentioned this before. So when he takes off and the wings flap, like there's just a huge, right, like there's a backflow of wind, like no joke. And an eagle, each of the eagles goes and basically presents themselves to be either on the backs or sometimes in the talons. And in the case of Lillimon and Stone, they will be taken down with the eagles having them in their talons because they won't be able to hold onto their back. So as you're about to get ready, River, Stone is like Stone's a brave dog and all that, but he's not. And Lillimon does not look happy about this prospect either, Inga. So
River's gonna crouch down to them both and say, "You've already been so brave, but just think, what dog or pony could say that they have flown far, far above the world, talons of eagles? They'll have such stories to tell when you come back down. Totally safe and sound, completely."
He looks dubious, but sort of, seems steeled for the way. Are you going to say anything to Lillimon, Inga, or not?
Oh, she was saying this to both of them.
Oh, both of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like Inge just like does the usual thing of just like petting his head, making sure that he like calms down before like stuff happens and stuff like that. So
okay, so he
feeds him like a carrot or like sugar cubes, even better. She probably has like some sugar cubes.
Sugar cubes. Okay.
Yes.
So he nuzzles against your hand, and then you, along with the rest of them, are swept away. Tani, just before you were swept away. Actually, no, I take that back. I'll deal with that later. Never mind.
I was going to thank the guard eagle for carrying you over there and back anyway, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So the guard eagle sort of silently bears you. The same one bears you down below and sort of flies you in these spiraling circles. And as you folks are traveling, the journey down the mountain. Yeah, what's up?
Is the Lord of the Eagles also coming along? Or
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He actually took off to begin with.
Okay.
So. And the journey down the mountain is considerably more pleasant than the flight up, assuming you equate pleasant with being able to see instead of flying blindly in the dark. So you can see all of Wilderland. In fact, I will zoom out here for chat so you can see what it's like. So you can see all of Wilderland kind of laid out before you, like an astoundingly detailed map. In the distance, there is the shadow of Mirkwood, then there is the silver ribbon of the Anduin, its green veils, and then, of course, the towering walls of the Misty Mountains. And eventually, as they spiral downwards, you are dropped off right pretty much about here, which is probably only about a day's journey from the High Pass, in a spot which is fairly familiar to some of you, and I'll describe that in a minute. But they drop you down there, and
Oh, not on the other side on the same side of the mountain?
on the same side of the mountains, yeah. Not on the other side, because for a variety of reasons, but one of them is that Irame apparently had no, not plot. No, Irame had asked, was supposed to be meeting some of the elves who were going to be coming, who are already halfway, like on this side, and the eagles flying into the Misty Mountains, where there are both giants and some goblins still, is probably not a wise idea. It's not easy to navigate, for one thing. So as you were all set down, pretty much where Tawny Bear placed them, they all drop you off one by one. Tawny, as your guard eagle sort of puts you down, he inclines his head and he says to you, "I thank you for the saving of Garthor, and my thanks are personal, for you have saved my brother since he was in the egg. If you are ever in need, I will come to you. You may call upon me, separate from the eagles, and I will do what I can if I am within earshot and may. I say this as Galen, Garthor's brother."
Please take this as the compliment it is meant to be. I hope I never have need.
And the eagle inclines its head and then takes off. And last is the Lord of the Eagles, who alights and speaks to all of you and says, "Before you depart, I would add that on one of my flights I have seen something which is troubling. In the West Nether Vales, there off in the distance," and he points, if I zoom out here, the West Nether Vales, which are down here to the south. "In the West Nether Vales, I have seen a new fortress on the moors south of the River Gladden. I do not know what it is, but I dislike it. And if you find yourself with more trouble from the south, you may have some understanding of where it comes. The shadow has been pushed back, and yet it weighs upon all of our conscience. I see it in the distance. You may feel it as well." And Irame nods and says, "Indeed, the shadow is all around us. We will do what we must to resist it if we may." And she nods, and then the Lord of the Eagles looks at each of you and waits if you have anything else you want to say to him before he takes off.
River will look at Rabar and Inga and just be like waiting. She's talked a lot, and just to see if they want.
Then Inga steps forward and like actually bows down before the Lord of the Eagles and says, "Thank you, my lord, for again helping my people. We will not forget this."
I have a question for you.
And
Where you go?
the Lord of the Eagles nods, and before he answers you, Rabar, he says to Ingo, who is still kneeling down, he says, "Indeed, friend dwarf, we have not forgotten you either." And then he looks up at you and waits, Rabar.
There's a woman by the name of Melina, and I wanted to know if she was known to you, because she might be my kin, or know of my kin.
And he says, "One of the Dunedain, then?"
Yes.
And he nods and he says, "In my travels I have seen many lone wanderers, and many of your kin, those who allow themselves to be seen. I do not know this Melina of whom you speak, but I will say that in this land I have seen strange happenings of late. Those who have appeared and then just as quickly disappeared without reason or explanation. I will instruct my people to be on the watch. If they see one such as this, one of your kin, we will see if there is information we may gather, and we will bring it to you as we may."
Thank you.
And he nods, and then he says, May your Eries wait to receive you at the journey's end, and the wind bear you beneath your wings. And he turns, and then, this huge, helicopter, blowing as he takes off, and circles. And again, this that just sort of soars over the valley, and he, flies off into the distance. Now, you...
I look sheepishly back at my companions because I haven't mentioned this Melina woman before.
Well, Ian knows what's going on.
There we go.
Yeah, it seems we have much to catch up on.
Mm-hmm. This place, by the way, is familiar to some of you, and it's specifically familiar to Tani and Robar and Inga. You are in the ruined, tumbled stones of a ruined town, and you may remember having seen this before.
We had a bit of a tussle here.
Yes. Do you remember against what?
Well, I remember that if I had not made a critical success roll, that we would have been screwed.
Yep.
I mean,
oh, is this a bit where the swamp was?
Yes. Yes.
Did we ever get that thing, whatever it was? No, right? We lost it, and then we were like, yeah, let's move on.
Right. You never found that thing, but this is the same area. And as you sort of look at this place, Irame says, I have been here before. This was Haycombe, the trader's town leading to the Kirith Thorn and Andrath. It was built by middle men with golden hair who traded over the mountains. They were a kind folk. They held a market here, and my kin from Linden would come sometimes, and we would dance in the snow. The men would laugh to see us run. They are gone now. Some went south with a brave chieftain called Eorl. Others stayed until the shadow in the forest reached out and destroyed them. Treachery brought the enemy into the town. His horrors taught the people here as slaves. And then there was no more laughter in the pass. And you can see her eyes, sort of as they often are, somewhat halfway distant. And then she says, This is where I was told to meet the emissaries from Rivendell. And I would suggest that we may camp here and rest. We are still weary from our journey, and I see no sign of the orcs which beset us earlier. And a quick sort of check around, and you folks can determine that this seems to be true. There do not seem to be any orcs around. It is morning now, so, but you were all pretty damn tired, obviously.
Question.
Sure.
Is this where I found that tentacle amulet, or was it somewhere else? I only wrote down evil tentacle amulet.
Yeah,
no notes about it.
I need to remember where that was too.
Like I remember we were trying to track down this whatever that thing was, and then we found something instead. I don't remember what that was though. If that was that amulet or something else.
Let me double check because it
was.
I
think it was like a skull with like a thing on the head, and we picked up that thing or something.
Yeah, give me a second and let me double check.
Okay.
What's this? Not this thing. Okay. Yes. There are gemstones on this fine neck torque, almost like a necklace amulet, you might almost put it as, that had a skull head on it. Yes. And this thing is something that you discovered on the ancient remains of this warrior that was buried in a bog. You might remember, there were skeletal remains, and you found this thing on top of it.
And there was that, yeah.
You remember that?
It was like a
There was that
Germanian
thing.
graveyard, an ancient one.
Yes.
With
Yes.
it
Is
just
the one
dumping
where-
corpses in the
Several of
swamp.
them, maybe.
Were there goblins here as well, or orcs? That
Yep,
would
there were some
Yeah.
orcs, and then not far from here is where you fought against the orcs, and you actually
Shit.
went down below, and that's when you encountered the river for the
Yeah.
first time, and blah 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 blah.
I remember.
So now the river was not here. The river,
Right.
did come to this, but didn't come from this angle. So you came through the tunnels in a different way. So this is unfamiliar to you, River, but it is not unfamiliar to the other three.
So I'm assuming we're setting up camp.
Yes, assuming you all agree to that. This will
Yes.
give you
Yes.
a chance
This
to.
is as
Okay.
good a place as any, and this isn't far from where he first met you, River.
Is
Yeah.
it? Oh, I'm having difficulty readjusting how I think of the world in the wake of this journey.
Is the caverns where we met and blew up
Rather explosive.
just over there.
Wow.
Hmm.
It feels a lifetime ago. I feel like I've been traveling with you for much longer than I have.
So our company is that boring.
That's exactly what I meant, Tommy. Yeah. Precisely.
So
Quick
I'm
question.
probably nodding. Yes.
Does it take a long rest to shed exhaustion, or does a short rest do that?
It would be a long rest. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, you would not be able to get rid of a long rest. Get rid of exhaustion, or to have a long rest, except at a sanctuary. However, because you are with Irame, the way in which the way that she sort of conducts herself provides a certain kind of peace about the camp, which at least gives you the possibility, he said in quotes, of getting a long rest. Now, that also assumes that you don't get interrupted. So we don't know if that's going to happen or not. But assuming you have enough hours, you could basically classify this as a temporary sanctuary, which would allow you to
8
do a long
hours
rest.
of rest to regain all spells. Yes.
Correct.
And our arrival is at Rivendell. That's where we do our actual concluding our journey thing.
Well, we can. Well, I mean, I was going to decide about whether doing it now. Let's do the arrival now. There's two basic places where you could arrive, or times you could arrive, but we'll have you do it now. So let's have you do the arrival right this
I
moment.
have a bonus to my next arrival roll.
Yep. So give me a second. Let's do the arrival, and then I'll take whatever questions people have. So.
Wait, what does that mean again? Just like.
So
that we are setting
at
up
the
long
end
camp.
of the journey, when the arrival occurs, if I can ever get to the damn page, then we're going to have. So let's see. This was hard. -1. Okay. So the guide's going to be rolling a d8, but there's going to be a couple of adjustments that are made here. So you've got a -1 to the arrival roll because of the terrain that was involved. You also have a -1 because of the exhaustion that you experienced. However, you get a plus what, Will? Did you say?
I have a +1 to my next arrival roll. I've
So
written
it
that
means you're at a -1. You also, because of the circumstances that you dealt with the Eagles, and the feeling of goodness about you because of what you've done for the Eagles with the salvation of Gerthor, you can add +2 to it. So that means total of +1 to the arrival roll.
All right, and it's a D12?
D8.
D8, okay.
What? You can do a D12.
I did a D12. Wow. I can make it happen.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
So-
I don't know what I thought would happen.
Regardless of,
That's two.
unfortunately, as you arrive here, part of the problem with being up with the Eagles and so forth is that although the Eagles did the best that they could for you, as you've arrived here at your destination, hunger is a big issue for you. Your supplies have dwindled. Obviously, you didn't have a lot of chance to take many of them with you when the attack originally happened. And so you all find yourselves essentially with empty bellies. And so you all gain a level of exhaustion. So at the moment, you're dealing with 2 levels of exhaustion, except for Tani, who's got 1 level of exhaustion.
I have 4 wheels of cheese in my inventory.
So,
I
so
just
you'll
want
be-
to point that
so
out.
you right. So you will be able to address that by having some of this food.
Yeah.
But this is what you're going to have to begin with. Tren, you had a question.
Yeah. How many of us are there?
So there are. What do you mean? Like total?
Yeah.
So there's probably, let's see, so there's 10 or 12 elves with you, I guess. And then the 4 of you plus the animals. So 18, 16 plus the 2 animals, 18.
Because I've only got 6 honey cakes.
Welp. So there's enough that you could cover for the group of you. Inga, I'm going to say that you can have those wheels of cheese. If you want to share them, you could distribute them.
No.
Um,
Inga's gonna sit down, eat them all by herself while everybody's looking.
okay.
Get out her giant cauldron, makes like a giant cheese fondue, and eat
Okay.
it all by herself. She's gonna bath in it. That's what she's
You gain 5 levels of greed and lose 6 levels of exhaustion.
I'm totally imagining actually doing the fondue though and dipping the honey cake
Oh, that sounds amazing. I
That
want
sounds
that.
delicious and probably
hungry.
8 million calories per hit.
Yeah.
But still,
Yes, perfect.
You're the one who
I
said we
want
were
it.
out of food when we.
I mean,
clearly
yeah, there's no
have
doubt
food.
about it. So yes, so you have 2 levels of exhaustion. However, how are you going to address this, Tani? You want to distribute some of it, and Inga, are you actually bathing in the cheese, or what is the equivalent?
Yes, totally. I was absolutely 100%
I figured you were
serious
serious.
about it when I
That's
said
okay.
that.
Oh, I know.
No, Inge is just like going up to Lilleman, going through like her stuff, the stuff he's carrying it like from somewhere. She gets on these huge wheels of cheese because cheese wheels are fucking enormous.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, well, I guess I have like this here, and it's like the grumpy about not being able to eat all this cheese by himself.
Okay, so what I will say is that if you are willing to distribute 2 of your 4 wheels of cheese, and if Tani is willing to distribute 3 of his 6 honey cakes, that will allow all of you to not suffer this level of exhaustion that I just mentioned. Now, you're still dealing with the other exhaustion issue, but at least you don't have the extra exhaustion that exists. So,
I have some like beans and fruits that I've like found on the ground and I'll share around.
they are, after being dunked, covered in, and then like, dude, they are super delicious. Let me tell you, they are the you know. Although you were able to, you're able to hand that around as well. So now, are you basically going directly to rest at this point with the elves, or how are you handling this? Because you are going to need to get rest if you want that other exhaustion gone.
Inge wants to talk to Irame first if the opportunity presents
Okay,
itself.
go to it. What do you got?
So basically she walks up to her, it's like, milady, if you would have a minute.
Indeed.
You sounded like you know this place better than we do. My friends and I, we actually have been here before, and we encountered some being. We are not really sure what it was, which had kidnapped Tawny Bear. That's what happened, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Okay, like kidnapped him and dragged him to its cave of mud, and upon rescuing him, we discovered this amulet here, and I was wondering if you might know anything else about it. And she holds up the amulet to like for her to take it.
And she, so she does not take it. She looks at it curiously, and she holds out her hand next to it, almost as if she's kind of feeling its energy, might be a way to describe it. And then she kind of draws it back as if it's hot. And she says, "Yes, I felt a certain darkness about you, but I was not sure from where it came." And she kind of looks about her and she says, "There are, of course, layers of darkness, shadows upon shadow. What you speak of is probably a lighter shadow, one from not the ancientest of worlds or realms, and yet it is driven by the same evil which founds all shadows in the end." And she looks back at you and she says, "Do you suffer from bad dreams, Inga?"
No, she doesn't, right? Like I don't remember ever having something
Not
like that.
so much, yeah, not that you're
No,
aware
no,
of.
she sleeps pretty sound most of the time.
She says, "That is good, and it is perhaps a measure of your dwarven blood, your resistance to evil, that you are not affected. But there are dreams nonetheless, Inga. I can feel it in the air and sense it in the water." And she kind of looks around herself and draws her cloak a little closer, and she says, "Sometimes it feels such deep darkness that no light could penetrate it." And then she looks back at you without a smile, but kind of a wistful expression, and says, "But fear not. Not all hope is lost. Keep your trinket for now, and be aware that there will come a time when you may need to discover its meaning. I cannot help you, for I do not know it myself. But it is perhaps a key to a door of shadow and darkness. I pray you will not need to go through that door."
Well, thank you for your time then, my lady. Have a good night's sleep.
And she nods, you as well, and
Thank
looks
you.
off again. This is the way most conversations with her may tend to go. Which is just like,
It's like,
Okay.
I feel like the best use of River's time would be to teach her some knock-knock jokes, but it's like, but anyway, no. What River will want to do with this short rest, like, so River as a warden has campfire tales, and while it doesn't say that they're like for shedding exhaustion, it says during a short rest, you and any nearby friendly creatures listening to your tales gain an additional 1d6 hit points per hit die spent. So I don't know if the elves are all healed up or not, but either way, like what she would want to do is sing a cheery comedy song, perhaps.
Inga
Ooh,
sings a
how
lot,
would that
she knows the
go?
lyrics.
how would this comedy song go? Does it rhyme
Well.
with Banduin?
That's a good question. It's very hard to rhyme things with Banduin. But yeah. I guess there probably aren't any instruments nearby, right?
Inga has an instrument. She has a flute.
A flute.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that doesn't work so well for singing at the same time. But okay, so if
You just Robert Frampton it, a good time, going like the vocoder and like out of the flute.
Or it becomes a kazoo.
It becomes a kazoo, yeah.
so so does River know this? Has Inga ever
Yes.
played the? Okay. So have you ever played the flute around? That's cool.
Probably.
Great.
She does it when she's bored and doesn't feel like smoking.
So River will beckon Inga over. She's trying to like set up some. She'll have like looked for something that looks like it could be percussive, like some kind of hollow log or piece of wood, just two pieces of wood she could knock together or something like that.
Okay.
And
Inga
she'll
probably has something like that in her.
Awesome.
Gear.
Okay.
just say,
Those tools and stuff. But yeah, like what I also want to say, like you can always like expect a dwarf to have an instrument with them because that's a thing.
Absolutely.
excellent.
Yes.
The instruments in the hall, for sure.
Yes.
Yes. So River will beckon Inga over and say, Inga, I was wondering if you could help me with something. I'm
Sure. What you need?
well, I've been working on a song, and I know you play the flute, and I thought I would just start, doing the thing. I think that if you joined in on the chorus of it, just something light and cheerful and piping, could really make this. I think ideally I'd have a stringed instrument, but without that, just yeah. I thought something I've been wanting to do is keep track of our adventures as we have them, because we live in such incredible times, and one of my desires in leaving Rosgobel was to do great deeds with fellow adventurers, and I feel like we've been doing that. So I thought that I'd start small and see where we went after this.
Are you close enough for Tawny to overhear any of this?
Oh, absolutely. This is being pitched for performance. This is
Okay.
like this is being like in the hope that people will gather around and maybe pick up with this.
So Tawny has a wooden box that he carries a lot of his herbs and stuff in, but it's empty right now because
Right.
he used so many of his herbs on the eagle.
Right.
But he pulls the lid off and hands it to you, plus a couple of instruments, like medical instruments that he has, that you can hold it upside down between your knees and use it as, since it's hollow, it would act as a resonating kind of a concussive sort of thing.
This is perfect. Thank you, Tawny. Thank you. So she'll start. She starts by making like a big resounding, like that sort of thing. Kind of gives a beat.
Okay.
And she starts out very, very in a very stately, some kind of stentorian voice that just suggests a tiny bit that it might change up in a bit. But let me make sure I remember this now. We met when in the caverns deep and rescued hobbits there. We fought against the foes that creep within their mountain lair. We've battled orcs, and this is why percussion will start getting like a little faster here. We've battled orcs and goblins too, foul men in whom the shadow grew. But dear friend, if you only knew, our fiercest foe we never slew. The river Anduin soaked us through. Oh, Anduin, great Anduin, your currents we cannot stand in. We'll sink more often than we swim whene'er we ford the Anduin. Anduin, great Anduin, your currents we cannot stand in. We'll sink more often than we swim whene'er we ford the Anduin. Though hand o'er hand we groped our way on ropes secured without delay. The river Anduin in her play would wash our party all away. Oh, Anduin, etc. And it kind of goes like that. And then there are more verses that develop, but the idea is that it begins more progressive. And I don't
Clip
want to
that immediately.
Well, I already tweeted it out like 5 seconds, and now. So you do this, and you can hear the elves watching you, some with small smiles on their faces, some saying nothing at all. Irame listens again, just quietly, and you can tell, in particular, the animals seem to like this. Stone perks up quite a bit and is kind of dancing around. Liliman seems to actually be vaguely swaying back and forth, as if slightly to the beat, maybe, as well. And meanwhile, Robar, you just have memories of, just bad memories.
Rocking back and forth.
I'm rocking back and forth. Oh God.
Like Inga is like grinning really like all the time at like Robar, just like because she knows,
You know what it's like, right? That third verse, right? Right?
Get it?
Yeah.
Hashtag relatable.
Hilarious.
I remember that one.
All right, so you raise the spirits of those who hear you, and the sort of laughter and the notes seem to stand in stark contrast to some of the, not oppressiveness, but some of the sort of seriousness and stillness of the place in which you sit. And in this way, you pass away the time. By the way, while you were doing things like this, and others are listening to you, Tani and Robar and Inga, are any of you, like, what are you folks doing besides having eaten food and so forth? When are you going to rest? Are you going to look around and do other things? I know that Ing's already talked to Irame, but anything else, or good for now?
Do we now
Thank you,
to
Echo.
get rid
for
of the exhaustion, we do have to rest first, so right?
Yeah, you got to rest for a while. Yep.
Okay, so because I was thinking like maybe going out to see if Inga can hunt some food, but like if they
Not if you're. I mean, you
exhaustion's still a
can, but
thing.
not if you're also going to get rid of the exhaustion.
No. Then like Inga's just gonna lay
I'm-
back.
Oh, the song is not so long that they are not going to rest for perhaps.
I assumed it was 45 verses. It's like the last. It's like the song in The Last Unicorn, where it's just it's Jack Jingly and everything.
Or Bedlam Boys.
I love that song.
It's a great song.
It's so good.
Yeah, I see that Last Unicorn, Terry. Good stuff. Okay, so yeah, all right, so you're gonna be, so you will be resting. Robar, Tawny, River, what about you?
Guard rotations is all Tawny's interested in figuring out, and then he's gonna rest.
Well, we have like elven companions that can keep guard.
Yeah,
like,
that's
we are
true.
like the VIPs, so like they have to
Yeah.
take care of stuff.
Less than the rest of us.
So at some point, Robar is going to find Irame.
Okay, she is still looking out at the mountains beyond.
Yeah, I kind of I look at her for a while and I think maybe she's busy looking at the mountains. But then he realizes he probably doesn't care too much. I will kind of stand next to her for a while and sort of look out at those mountains as well and say, I spoke with the... Is it King of the Eagles?
Lord of the Eagles.
Lord of the Eagles, that's right. I spoke with the Lord of the Eagles and I asked him a question. But thinking about it more, perhaps this question would have been better directed at you. You see a lot more than most people, I think.
And she nods and quietly says, without looking at you, I have lived much longer.
Well, maybe during...
That's a buzzkill.
All right.
I swear I didn't mean to imply that you're old or anything.
I wasn't trying to say.
You don't look a day over 800.
Yeah. You're looking great. There's someone who I think wants to meet with me, and I certainly want to meet with her. One of my kin, one of the Dunedain. Her name is Melina. She has blue eyes, long brown hair. I wondered if you've heard of her or maybe even met her.
She does not look in your direction for a while, and then she looks to you after a while. Her eyes seem somewhat sad, and she says, I have not met this person of whom you speak, but I have seen her nonetheless. I mentioned that there are dreams now. I have had these dreams in the past. Dreams where the Dunedain wander in the shadows, keeping the good peoples safe from those who would do them harm. There was one dream that I had some time ago. I saw one of the Dunedain upon a hill. The setting sun was behind her. She had long hair of which you speak. She was looking in the distance, and as I looked in that direction, I could not see. Yet I heard what it was that she looked at. The sound of roaring and torment and horror. Then she looked at me and said, The past must be dealt with before the future may come. I spoke to her, but made no sound. Then she turned a hand on her sword and went down the other side of the hill. When I awoke, I could remember little more of the dream. If this were your kin, then she has discovered something of value and great danger, something that derives from your past. I cannot counsel you, except to say that if you find her, it must be in dreams to begin with, and in the reality to which you would bring her later. You must bring her from the dream. Do you understand?
I think so.
And she
Oh, yeah.
nods and she says, I wish I could say more, but it is the only time I have had that dream.
Okay. Well, you speak... Well, to me it seems like riddles, but I know to you it seems like a lot more sense.
And she says, she shakes her head and says, Alas, I can speak only as I am. I do not mean to riddle or conceal. But there are so many years and days and months and weeks within my words and within my will that I can only weave the sentences I do in the way that I do them. I mean no offense.
None taken. Thanks for your help. I appreciate it.
She nods and she, as you're about to leave, she says, Robar,
Yes.
there may come a time when you will have a decision to make. Your family or your friends. Do you know whom you would choose in that moment?
No. I've no idea.
She nods and she says, The first step towards wisdom is understanding how little of it we truly possess. Give yourself time, Robar.
I'll try. I love them, my friends. My family I've never had a chance to. I'm not sure how much that Trance means if that outweighs the kinship I feel of these people. I'll think on it some more. Maybe dreams will help me.
And maybe they will.
Or I get some rest.
And she nods and looks off again in the distance. And as you begin to walk away, you actually can hear her singing some sort of song in Elvish, very high and sweet and faint. And in fact, most of you can hear this as you are dropping off to sleep/rest. Everyone can make, please, a history check for me. If you have lore, traditions, anything like that would do also.
I have traditions.
Traditions, yeah.
Me too.
My god. It's my second that one of the day.
Woo!
Wow.
Critical! Yes!
Nice.
Must be nice.
How does it feel to?
You got a critical too. It's
Yeah.
It wasn't the same kind.
Side.
yeah.
It wasn't the same kind, and
I should say critical 1, not critical 2.
there you go.
Critical.
She, as you all are listening, Tani, you can hear what sounds, as I said, like words of Elvish that tells a tale, but it is only Inga who hears the details of it. She says, Alberith Gilthoniel, Silveren Penabenirial, O Menelaglar Elanath, Nashared Palandiriel, O Galadhad Remnin Enorath, Fanuelos Lilinathon, Nef Iresinef Aaron, Aloberith Gilthoniel, O Menel Palandiriel, Linalan Seed Nugroths, Atironian Fanilos. And roughly translated, you know, for you somewhere in your past remember this song being sung to you somehow, Inga. The song of O Elbereth Star Kindler, white glittering, slanting down, sparkling like a jewel, the glory of the starry host. Having gazed far away from the tree-woven lands of Middle-earth, to thee, ever white, I will sing on this side of the sea, here on this side of the ocean. O Elbereth, star kindler, from heaven gazing afar, to thee I cry now beneath the shadow of death. O look towards me, ever white. As this,
So Inga doesn't understand that even though she doesn't speak a single word Elvish.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is, yes, and I want to emphasize, yes, you do, and that doesn't make sense that you do, but you remember it as having been in a song, and you feel, all of you feel, but you in particular feel a kind of coldness that descends over you, and this feeling of sort of darkness, not exactly shadow, but darkness descends upon you. Everything feels a little slower, a little more drawn out as you hear these words, as if they're being articulated for you alone, Inga, as if someone's speaking it to you almost while she sings it. And then, all of you awaken. You awaken in the same positions where you fell asleep. All your equipment and weapons are at hand. But as you look around you, the mountainside has changed. Where once there was an old and ill-maintained track, there is now a well-traveled road. Where once there were ruined walls and fallen stones, there is now a town. And somehow, you know that this town is called Hakem. From the town, you hear the sound of laughter and the bustle of a market, and it is clear that many travelers have gathered here. Irame and the elves are gone.
Inga pinches herself in the arm.
Yeah.
Feels
Does
like
it
an
hurt?
feels like an arm. Yeah. Ow. You really have to
We
stop
had a
doing
dream. She's talked a lot about dreams and none of it was clear.
River.
Like Inga just like jumps up because like they did rest within the ruins, right?
that. Yes, they did.
So like So we would be indoors right now, or where?
You are outside still,
Okay.
but it is.
No, I mean like because like everything was ruined, like basically like I remember like you were
Right.
described like the walls being not higher than like 20 centimeters or something.
Right, you are
like the
now. So
remains.
you're not inside them, but like right outside them. But yes, you are like
Okay.
the walls, like not tower, but the walls are above you. They are not fallen into
Okay.
ruin. This looks like the town.
But
like,
we are
it's a town.
outdoors. That's what I wanted.
Yeah,
to
you
know
are
if
outdoors.
Okay.
But you are right outside this town and again, the inside of it, you hear this sort of bustling, city sound, like a market of some kind.
So Inga jumps up, grabs her axe, and is just like checking if like Liliman is still there.
So yes, Liliman and Stone are both there. Liliman and Stone are both there, but the elves are not. All of you can sort of see each other, and it feels very, you can, as I said, it's very bright around. Now I need to ask actually quickly, Robar, you don't have the see the unseen virtue, do you, or do you? I want to double check. I don't think you. I don't know if you do or not.
I am automatically aware of the presence or proximity of ghosts, shades, and wraiths of any kind. I didn't write the titles of these things down.
Right.
It's all in my.
Robar, you think, and let's see, and then Tani does not have this because you don't have ancient lore or anything like that. Okay. Robar, if you had to bet, you would bet that this is a dream. It feels somehow dreamlike to you. There is something about this seems off, although it feels very real. Like if you pinch yourself, it hurts. You can, like, you're talking to your companions. All your companions seem to be talking back to you. Although maybe I'm just so damn good that you're each having your own individual adventure with 3 other dream people. But I mean, I don't, you guys are all talking to each other, and yet somehow something about this feels as if the colors are slightly too bright, as if the wind is too present, as if the sun is a little too warm. Everything about this feels like a little too much. Not overwhelming, but just doesn't feel quite real. And yet, like
River did have this sort of similar waking dream experience recently, right?
Yes, but not. This doesn't feel like that kind of a dream, though, to you. However,
that was a very, anyways. Yeah.
Right. Well, no, but what I was about to say was, however, the experience of that in terms of the sort of how real it felt to you, this certainly feels that real,
Right.
for what that's worth. So if you want to say you're suspicious,
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
River will look around and go, Are we all dreaming together?
It must be.
I don't like this. I would like to wake up now.
It must.
You tried pinching yourself.
Yes, I have.
This has to be a dream. There's
The
no way.
last time I felt anything like this was that dream that I told Tawny about when I woke up and there was river mud under my fingernails from a place that I touched in the dream. I think that there must be some enchantment at work, or some touch of a different, something beyond our understanding. I don't know.
Well, I would like to wake up now. And I know that like you wake up when you feel like you're falling in your dream. So, and like as Inga says so, she just like climbs up the wall and jumps down to see if that wakes her up.
So you jump down, and poof, let's see. You take 2 points of damage.
A trust fall situation.
How high is that wall?
It's not a tiny wall. It's 2 points of damage is not a big loss, but you definitely
Inga just like plummets on her face and is like, "Am I awake yet?"
nailed it.
The last time I mean, once Inga's picked herself up, and River is smiling a little to herself, but shakes her head and says, "The last time I had a dream that seemed to touch me in waking, it seemed like it was necessary to learn something. So if we're all dreaming the same dream, perhaps it has something to do with Irame and the stories she was telling about this place. Maybe we should go and explore. We should go and take a look inside at the market and the people."
She did
Maybe.
mention this. Didn't
She wants us to see something here. You're right. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Arv, do you have like the lyrics to the song somewhere written down? Because like there's no way I can like remember.
Yeah. Let me. I think I can actually pull up a wiki that has it too.
That was.
Yeah. Let's see if I have that.
So then I just like read all of the wiki article and like know everything that's going on, right? Since I rolled a 20.
Sure.
No.
Sure.
I won't do that.
Yeah. Let's see. I will point you to a link that has that in there. I'm gonna just give it to you privately.
And Inge, I said pinch, not pitch.
Yourself down upon
Right.
the ground. Okay. So you folks are going inside. Are you going into the town?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like reading.
That's
right
fine. That's
now.
fine. So as you enter, there is indeed a bustle of a market from inside the town, and there are many, many travelers here that clearly have gathered here. As you enter, you are greeted by a crowd of children. They swirl around you and they start pestering them. Hi, who are you? Where did you come from? Hi, who are you? My name is Fenelil, and this is Fenelil. No, that's not, no, never mind. Don't, they want to hear that. Oh no, I want to know about that. Hey, do you have any cake? They jump on you, Tawny. Do you have any cakes? I'm really hungry. Can you have some cakes? Mom said I could have some cakes. One of them goes around you. You're short. Why are you almost as short as me? They're saying to you, Inga. And then, why are you almost as short as me? Look, she has a beard. Maybe she's a dwarf. I've never seen a dwarf. Are you a real dwarf? Is that a real axe? Meanwhile, they're swirling around you, River. Wow, that's really cool. Look, you have your own dog. That's a cool dog. And then
Kids.
so they're all like, they're
Stop
running
it.
around. There's a lot of them. There's like 20
Have your
at
parents
least.
not taught you not to pester strangers?
Oh, no, it's fine. We're okay. Everything's fine. And I want to point out that as you're here, looking at the buildings inside here, which all look to be fresh and new, every sight and sound within this town feels familiar to you. It's as if you belong to this place and time. And as you talk to the kids, you realize that although they are not speaking any language that you're familiar with from Middle-earth, you comprehend them perfectly, and they can comprehend you perfectly. You speak it fluently. River, these people seem to be of the same stock, if you had to guess, as the woodmen. But you notice many, many, many horses tied up on posts, and in there's a number of stables that you can see, and there's a few people who are actually riding around on these horses as well. On one side of this, on the inside of the town, is a ring where you hear some sort of shouts of excitement, and as you look over, you see that there is what looks almost like equestrian, like horses jumping over things and people cheering as they do that. There's brightly colored flags everywhere, and bells ringing. The whole thing feels like you just stepped into a carnival, like you just the middle of Ren Fair, but for reals, that you're in right now.
Ren Fair is real. You shut your mouth.
No, yeah, exactly. Sorry. Even the guy who drove the Prius to get to the Ren Fair, it's all real. It's all totally real. And they, so you just feel this wonderful sense of energy. And as you're sort of looking around, there's this large square where apparently there's a market being held. It is crowded with merchants, tons of kiosks. You smell all kinds of delicious foods, like some kind of baked goods with cinnamon and honey sort of drifts over to you. You have the smell of certain kind of chocolate biscuits on top of chocolate biscuits, perhaps called Tam Tims or something, might be what they're called here. But you smell that. So you smell all these wonderful smells, and you hear the sounds of people hawking their wares. 3 for a bag, 3 for a bag, 3 for a bag, 3 for... this sort of sing-song stuff. Yes, Inga.
So given that Tolkien is a British author, would that also is it a thing in Middle Earth too that if you eat something from another world, then you are trapped in that world? Is that a thing?
Persephone.
And would we know that? I'm thinking about fairy realms. Yeah, very much.
There
Because I
are
know that's like a thing in English folklore.
there are definitely stories about this, but whether or not they're true or not, you've never actually tested. You've
So
also
if it's like stories, then we would know these stories.
yes,
right?
but there are, you also know that a lot of stories are told explicitly with the idea of scaring children into obedience and not actually being real. So
Well, I mean, like Inga probably has like her first share of respect for like elven magic and like having like shared dreams with other people. So like, yeah, she's got to be extra cautious.
The thing about Middle Earth is that those stories about not eating things are for the real world as well. Like, you know, if you go into Mirkwood, you're not supposed to drink from the river,
right,
because you'll fall into 1,000-year sleep. So I don't think that there's a similar kind of, you know, don't drink the food of the magical place because everything is kind of magic. But like those are real exhortations. You might not want to eat the unfamiliar food of a strange place unless you knew the rules of hospitality there, I would say.
Although, that said, Inga, you notice right near the edge of the market a stand in which are stacked at least 12 on each side massive cheese wheels. There are big slices out of each of them, and you can see
rip
that
Inga,
there are...
we are digging in. No,
they look really good. Like, there's a bunch of kids over there who are, they're giving out free samples, you know, like, to the people there, and they're taking hunks of the cheese, and things like that. You also can see that there is a building which stands out from the other houses. It's on one side of the square, and the reason that you notice it is because there's a signboard that you can see from here swinging over its door, and it shows a scrawny, what looks like a goat, falling down a cliff. And this is what
That's impossible.
It's what on the outside. Yeah, I know, it never happens. This is on the outside of this inn. It swings back and forth.
So like before like we do anything, like Inga actually turns to her companions and asks, did you also hear that song Irame sang?
Oh, I think I was half falling asleep when she was singing it.
Like, do you know who this Elberus Starkindler is she was singing about?
Yes. Well, she does because, I mean, I'm assuming she does
Yeah, you
because
would as a bard, yes.
Yeah, but also because she totally was singing an Elbereth song before in the adventure.
Also
well.
that.
Yes. Pulling up wiki. I do.
On
I do
her
actually
boot.
remember this. Yes. On my loot. Yes. It's the Elbereth. That was the that was what the elves called Varda, one of the first great powers in the first realm. Silmarillion brain, come back.
Would Inga know anything of what she's talking about?
Yes, because there was one for the, like, these are all the different like founding peoples of their different races.
Oh yes, like the
right.
So Aula was
yeah,
of the dwarves, right? So Varda was the wife of Manwë, who and she was like the Lady of the Stars, and you would know her name probably because of Varda's sickle as well, where it's like the Big Dipper basically. But there are 7 stars in the sky that are shaped like a sickle. So yes, that's what they named Varda, who was what were they called though? The Valar. There we go.
The Valar, and you would also happen to know this more recently because Irame is a descendant.
Exactly.
So. Yep.
Yeah.
So when she talks about being old,
yeah,
you know,
she was there at the beginning.
Okay.
So yeah, so you see
So
this
who's
square,
that guy
and then there's
then,
this
Elbereth? Like
No, it's a lady. It's the name. It's so Elbereth. So when they say Elbereth Starkindler, they're talking to Varda, who was the female power who put the stars in the sky.
Huh.
And I think the song, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it means did you translate it? You didn't translate it, did you? When you sang it?
I did.
No.
No, I did. Yes,
you did.
I did.
Yeah.
But like only Inga understood that, right? Or
Yeah,
That's correct.
Yes, but if you're referencing the song, presumably she would know it. I don't know.
The river would probably know the song too.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, she would know the song. But again, I want to emphasize that from Inga's point of view, it's as if it was being spoken to her. And you did not understand it when it was happening, of course. It was only when you were told about it later on, River.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, she would know about the song for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, was it the one that goes, the white glittering, slanting down, sparkling like a jewel, glory of the star? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's right.
What if that song has something specific to do with what is happening here? Like
Maybe
maybe there's a
something happens.
clue or something. So like I don't see anything about stars here.
Tumbling Goat Tavern.
I mean,
Like Inga looks around, like does she like spot any like star symbols on anything, like on a banner or on
No.
a sign or
No, although it is very
star-shaped
bright.
cookies at one of the
Just gonna
booths
say
or
that.
something.
Yes, exactly.
Zimtsterne.
You find the
Lots of-
Elbereth booth, and no,
Yeah.
there's none of that. But you do. I mean, you are in a bright. It is a bright, sunny day. But you have not seen anything
That's-
like that as of yet.
What did you say, Trent?
I said, so there's that star.
yeah.
Would we know that that's a
the
star? Like, I mean, it's like astronomy, like a thing, really. Like
Mhm.
that. So yeah.
It's not. I mean, yeah. In the
The
world
Earth
of
is
Middle
flat.
Earth,
There.
the sun is all. Don't make me geek out all nerdy yet, you guys. Do it. No, the stars in Middle Earth are always talked about as distinct from the sun, which is always talked about twinned with the moon, and the Silmarils themselves are supposed to be like jewels that have the mingling of the special light from the special trees, etc. Anyway, that's
Yep.
a lot of stuff.
And
So no, I think
the
they're
Earth
always.
rests on 4 elephants who stand on a giant turtle.
Oh,
Right at the back of it.
That's the one. Yep.
Turtles all the way down.
Yes, exactly.
Um. All right. So to be clear, then, so Inga wants to know about the song, but we are in the market town and we're being swarmed by children.
Yeah, although the children now seems to have lost interest as you're not really, they're sort of swarming off to the cheese stand. And then, and again, I just mentioned, because it's the one building that sort of stands out from the others, is this ale house with the sign, which also seems maybe a little bit quieter than the middle of the market, which is pretty packed, as I mentioned.
Well, let's. Shall we go in? Maybe if we speak to someone here, we can ask them more.
We don't see anybody who's like out of place, right? Except for us.
Except for you, although again, you feel very you feel very at home here, even though that's clearly impossible. But you feel very at home here. This all seems familiar to you.
River says these people look like my people. They look. But she'd know about the Airlings, right? Like the.
Yes. Or you might also know them. They sometimes refer to themselves as the Eothiad, which is the horse people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've heard stories of the Elfiad. We live in the woods and don't keep horses as much, but our ancestors did. We must be very far back in time to be in this place. Everything rebuilt from what we saw as ruins. All these people laughing and smiling.
Back in time, you say?
I mean, in the dream, I feel like, are we in the? It's as if we're in the memory of this place. It feels.
When she mentioned them, she called them the middlemen.
The middlemen.
I thought that's what she said.
Middleman. Sorry.
Like as in like the men of. Wait, no.
Lands?
I don't actually know that term myself.
When she was describing this place to us, I could have sworn I heard her say that this place was built by middlemen.
Oh, it was a term used by the Numenorians. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
They were referred to as the
Men of
elves
Twilight.
often called them, the men of Twilight or the men of Dale, or the woodmen were referred to as middlemen. So, yep.
Sorver would probably know that too. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, Sorver says yes. Those were. There are so many names for the same thing. They were. My people used to be called the Twilight, the Twilight people, the middlemen. There's, I suppose, because so much is reckoned in terms of light and dark, and these people were always somewhere in between, just not so full of shining as the elves, but certainly not rooted in shadow, but living in a kind of mingling of both. Shall we go in though and speak to someone?
It's the only way we're gonna find answers.
I guess.
As you make your way to the alehouse, Robar, you notice that right around next to you, is one of the children. So the rest of the children, as I said, have kind of gone elsewhere, except for this one. He's rather tall, not a giant or anything, but rather tall, and has sort of tousled brown hair, kind of messed up, and freckles. And he's sort of following. He's like right next to you. Like he hasn't said anything, but he definitely seems to be kind of hanging out next to you. Robar.
Can I help you?
He says, "Oh," like he like as if he didn't expect you were going to notice him. He's like, "Oh, I'll have, have you a squire, sir? I could be your squire. I'd polish your armor and I'd keep your sword sharp. My father's the captain of the Master's Guards, and he's gone away south, but when he comes back, I'm sure he'll tell you how brave I am. I could do whatever you like. I'm 11, sir. I mean, I'm tall for my age. Some people think that I'm actually 14, but I could fight like I'm 14, and I'd be happy to help you, sir, any way that I can. I know that you can use a squire, sir. I can just tell."
I'm in a dream right now.
"Oh, well," and he kind of looks confused, and he kind of tilts his head. He's like, "Well, then, I mean, I don't know, sir. It certainly seems to be awake to me. I mean, it's been a dream for me to serve and be a squire. Is that what you mean?"
Does this man look to you like a knight?
He says,
"Why do you want to be a squire?"
I kind of like.
And like to everybody else,
I could
Robar
be
just
a
looks like like a hobo, basically.
Yeah.
like a hobo. Wow. I've always dreamed of serving a hobo. He says,
I mean,
well,
that's what Dunedain are, right? Technically.
All that is gold does not glitter.
Exactly.
Yes.
He says,
Deep roots are not touched by the frost.
he says, well, I kind of thought that you were. Yes, ma'am. Are you? And he sort of looks for a moment confused. You are a warrior, sir, aren't you? A fighter. I could tell when I saw your sword, sir.
I'm one of the Dunedain. We travel alone. And with my friends.
Because he literally was like,
Statement makes no sense.
we travel alone and with friends. So he's like,
You're not my friend.
and he stops. He says, "Well, sir, I'm not. I don't mean to be annoying or anything or any of that kind, sir. Believe me, I could be super quiet. I won't say anything for days at a time if you don't want me to. But everyone needs a squire, sir. It says it in every book. Every one of my teachers tells me."
Kid, what's your name?
"My name is Haleth, sir."
Haleth,
Yes,
he's
sir.
no one to be traveling with men such as myself, and I have friends here that protect me. I don't need a squire, and I think I just go getting you into danger as well. Also, I'm in a dream, so none of this is real.
He kind of looks around and he says, Do any of the rest of you think you're in a dream? Because I don't think I'm in a dream. I think this is all normal. Maybe I am in a dream." He pinches himself. "Ow! Oh, no, I'm not in a dream. I'm not in a dream. I know what a dream is like, and this is not a dream. And he sort of
Great,
seems...
we caused this kid an existential crisis.
He's like, he says, "Well, sir, I understand if you don't think I'm worthy. I just will have to figure out a way to earn your trust. And I'll do the best I can, sir. I won't bother you or cause any problems. You won't even know that I'm here." And he takes like 2 large steps back and kind of stands there, like arms at his side, like at attention.
Oh, okay. We're gonna go inside now. So.
"Yes, sir. I'll watch your." And he looks around. He realizes you don't have a horse. But then he sees the horse and he says, "Oh, it's your horse." And he looks. Then he sees. He looks a little confused. He's like, "It's a little small, but I'll take care of him and the dog, sir."
The dog can watch the pony, and the pony can watch the dog. It's just
I can watch them both, ma'am, sir, ma'am,
Both?
ma'am.
Let the kid watch the animals. Let's go inside.
And like Inge glances at River like really
He looks at you
meaningful.
earnestly.
You are mute. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm mute.
No, you're
Oh,
not.
now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I think it's fine to leave this noble.
You're very quiet, though.
Why does this keep happening? I don't know. Sorry. Let me just. I have literally adjusted this manually twice so far.
Yeah, I know the problem. That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, it's
It
sometimes.
does go down. Okay.
Yeah,
There.
the level
But
drops.
like
That's much
basically
better.
what Inge is like trying to signal to
Yeah.
to River is like tell your dog to keep an eye on this kid.
Oh,
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
yeah.
You watch the kid, watch the
But
horse.
she
watch the
doesn't
dog.
say it. She just tries to like
Oh, completely.
Watch the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
River basically says, "I'm sure." So first she looks at his name is Haleth.
Haleth, yes.
Haleth.
Haleth.
Haleth, you seem like a noble and capable young man. And
Oh, thank you, sir. Ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sure we can trust you to look after both of these animals. This is Lilimon, and this is Stone. This is Haleth.
And
Haleth
Haleth kneels down and puts out a hand and gently strokes underneath Stone's chin and then moves around to the back of his ears. And Stone's like, like seems very, calm. And then the boy comes out and produces from his back pocket half of an apple, which he hands over to Lilimon. And Lilimon starts chewing on it. And Haleth smiles and he says, when my dad's away, I usually look after the animals at the farm. They'll be fine, I promise. Nothing will happen to them. Shoo! And he shoos away this kid that's 500 feet away, nowhere close, not even looking in his direction. But he's like, shoo! And the kid looks over confused and then kind of he's like, there, you see? I've got it all set, sir,
Marvelously done. Marvelously done.
I've already gone inside.
Yeah, it's great. A quick question, just randomly, Haleth isn't a name of any significance, is it? It's not like we're seeing, a baby.
This is young fucking Sauron right here. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, getting my ex.
Oh,
Sauron was
man.
never young.
Oh God! He says, "Sir, I'm one squire to rule them all." No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's not a young Sauron. This is not. We could go back in time and kill Hitler. No. This is not. Unfortunately, that's
I
not the
wasn't thinking
case.
Sauron. I was thinking just some future hero who you might know.
Not that you're aware of. No. He looks very much like the others do. Probably one of the Aotheod or the woodmen from, if you're right about your theory, a long time ago.
So once she pats him on the shoulder and says thank you and heads inside with the others, she's gonna come up to Robar and say, Robar, if we want answers to real questions, I think
He's
we have
literally inside right now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
She's gone in after.
Okay,
him.
okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll go up behind him and just say and address this to everyone quite quietly. If we want answers to real questions, I think we have to treat this as a real place. Can't just talk to them and say that this is a dream, and clearly that no one else thinks that. Oh, you liked him really.
He pushes his head through the door. Everything's still fine here, sir. Just letting you know. And then brings his head
Thank
out
you.
again.
Roger that.
Roger, what? What? Roger? Who's Roger?
Friend of mine.
The kid's name is Haleth, not Roger. Damn it, River.
I wasn't listening.
Okay.
So we're all in. Are we?
Now I assume the rest of you have gone in. So the inside of the alehouse here is actually fairly quiet, and it seems that most of the people are in the market at the town square at the moment. But there are a few, and as you see, one person in particular who's walking around. He's sort of hunched over a little bit, has a long grayish beard, and he says, "Oh, welcome, masters. If you'll just give me a second, I'll be right with you, of course. Welcome to the Falling Goat. There's a table right over there, if you will." And he points over to one. "Oh, excuse me, I just have to get around." And he kind of holds his back as he's kind of hurrying around as much as he could possibly hurry. And he's pointed to an empty table that you can see.
Inge is still keeping the lookout if she sees any star symbols anywhere or something.
Not so far. The inside of this looks just like a standard inn. You don't see anything in particular. This has got there's some tables, some benches. The tables have benches on either side, and there is a blazing, even though it is during the day, a blazing log fire in the fireplace on one side of the room. So you folks can sit if you like. It's up to you. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
I figured that's
Okay, I didn't know if you were doing that. So
No,
Stare at the chairs.
got it.
in
Oh,
fact,
is there a bard here?
There is no bard as of yet that you see, although there are some people sitting at different tables. So you don't know if one of them might be.
Or anybody with like suspiciously pale skin?
Not suspiciously pale skin.
Vampire. Yes, we are
Yeah.
looking for a vampire.
No. Exactly. Yes, you see Antonio Banderas in Interview with the Vampire. No. So on one, you don't see any of those, but you do see one man who is sort of looks like again another one of the Aothed, but he's much more brightly colored in his outfit, and he's got his feet up on the table and is kind of leaning back on his chair. And you can see that his hat is pushed down over his eyes. He's got a lute as well, but he seems to be asleep or snoring or something because he's just like kind of, there with his hat over his eyes. Other
so
than
as
that,
we sit down,
okay.
like Inga kind of nudges River in the back and goes like, hey, maybe this one is who we're looking for?
Are we looking for a specific? Do you think we're looking
Well,
for?
I'm just like thinking about the song here, like, and it is about a bard, you said. So, and this person.
No, it's not about.
No?
Sorry, her name was Varda, but not like the song is not about a bard. It's just about like a.
I
Sorry,
misunderstood that. Okay,
sorry.
never
No,
mind.
just like the lady of the Valar is named Varda, and
the dwarvish V and B are sometimes interchangeable.
Big Varda.
Yeah, we call.
Silent. Indeed.
Yeah.
Everything is silent.
I'm so sorry.
Bard.
It's a barda.
I mean, River will turn to Inga though and say like, Inga, why do you think we're here?
Because the elven lady, like, put us here, probably?
But what do you think? I mean, you heard her song and we didn't. What do you think she wants us to see? If we are here because she wants us to be and not just because, I don't know, we're around her. You know how you can feel the warmth from a fire without the fire necessarily wanting you to feel warm, I suppose. But
Well, I mean, I honestly don't know why, but I assume it's gonna have to do something with the song, and now I'm just like kind of thinking about whatever clues the song could give us to as what we are supposed to do here.
But the song itself was not about this place, correct?
No, it wasn't.
She merely told us about this place.
she
A
told
lot
us
of what
about.
she said is very vague and
Oh,
difficult to.
tell me about it.
Did she speak? Did she speak to? You spoke with her at some point, Rabar. What did she say to you?
We spoke about dreams and someone who I think might be my sister.
Yes, back up a little. You didn't mention that before. Are you? So this Melina is your sister.
I don't know. All I know is that she's been trying to reach out to me and left us a note that me and Inga found. It was left for us at the Easterly Inn, and cryptic talks of revisiting the past, and what was her name? Irame said the same thing as well, that I would have to confront my past and make a choice between my friends and my family at some point.
Well, this here is the past. It's the past of the place that we are in. Is there a chance that you should be looking for someone here?
It's possible, I suppose. I hadn't thought about that.
Does anyone here look like your kin?
Oh, does anyone here look like they could be one of the Dunedain?
Not
Inga
from
also
what you
looks
can.
around if like anybody looks like vaguely like him.
Not from what you can tell. There's not many people in this alehouse. From what you can tell, there might be actually in one. So I mentioned that there's this one guy who's snoring and hat down over his eyes, and then there is one other person who's quietly sitting by the fire, and looks possibly is cloaked and hooded. But just from the expression, you wonder, and the slight maybe curve of the ears, if you can even catch that within the side of the cloak, possibly elvish. That's the closest that you can get to anything that looks even vaguely not woodman-like. Everyone else seems to be of, the Aothed, as they say, and as you were sitting there talking, the person who originally greeted you comes over and says, welcome, good folk. I'm here for the market, no doubt. What can I get you, masters? We have many wonderful drinks for you available on tap, and we'd be happy to provide any of it for you. It's a happy day today. Of course, the market's in full swing, as I'm sure you know. What may I get for you, masters? Oh, and he kind of holds his back a little bit. You can see he's kind of wincing.
Inge just puts down a few coins on the table and goes 2 pints of the cheapest ale you have. Thank you.
And he says, oh, very well. And then he looks down and he picks up one of the coins.
4. Did I say 4? I meant 4.
4 coins. He picks up...
no, 4 pints.
4 pints, okay.
Yes.
So he picks up one of the coins, he looks at it, he says, it's kind of a strange... May I ask where the coinage is struck in, master? I am not familiar with dwarvish work. Does this come then perhaps from Erebor or some way similar?
You would be correct. From the Erebor.
He says, strange, I've never seen anything of its like before. It's not typical coin of the realm, but, well, it's close enough, I suppose. I can tell that it's got some value anyway. Certainly, I'll be happy to provide it for you. Have you come from the south, then? Is there any word of the master's return? I've heard tell he's on the road, but news is hard to come by of late.
We are here looking for news as well, actually. We've no more information than you, but which master do people, which is the master of whom people speak?
Oh, well, we're speaking, of course, of the alderman of Haycombe, lady. He's the one who leads us here. Well, the true lord of this people is, of course, Heophod, but Heophod is not here. Now, when you say Heophod, you recognize this river as a name out of Mannish legend. Hundreds of years before, there was a time when a powerful Northman nation ruled the northernmost vales of the Great River, and one of them was indeed Heophod, who ruled a whole area, basically north of here down to this area. But he would be the king of this region, though. And the graybeard that you're speaking to goes on to say, yes, well, but anyway, one of his most trusted followers is our own leader, the alderman of Haycombe, and he went on a journey south to survey this hill, the Hill of Sorcery, and to see for himself if there was any truth to these tales of, and he drops his voice a little bit, a new shadow, they say. I'm sure it's not true. Of course, everyone's always making up these dreams and visions, you understand, but, well, it's the alderman's job to be suspicious. And so, off he went, and no one could gainsay him, and he's been gone for some months. And, we've still got plenty. Trade has slowed down from some, but we still get plenty of merchants from the south. And, we hope anyway, that he'll be coming back anytime soon. And so I just wondered if you had any news when you had gone.
Would that we did.
No news.
None. Have you, do you know, is the, that one by the fire who is cloaked, is that one known to you?
And he looks over, he says, oh, you mean the elf? Well, yes, master. That is named Rodwin. She's an elf from Mirkwood. She's traveled here, she says, to visit the market. She works for King Thranduil. Most of the time the elves sort of keep to themselves, but she actually seems to enjoy herself here, or at least the way that elves can. Oh, begging your pardon, but the elves are a little strange to us here, you understand. They seem to speak in riddles. But she's friendly enough. You could go over there, and I'm sure she'd be willing to speak to you, or I could invite her to speak to you and come to your table if you prefer.
That would be wonderful.
Good idea.
And from the side, you hear, if there's anyone, old Aldor, who's going to be greeting anybody, it's myself. And jumping up from the table, the hat now back on his head, holding this lute, is a man who looks clearly like a woodman, but he is clearly wearing a rather ridiculously looking colored vest, which is multicolored, almost like, rainbow, a riot of color on his vest. And
I
he
love
comes over, spins several times, and then plays a few notes. Bring, dun, 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 dun. Welcome, masters, mysterious travelers from beyond. Brum, bum, 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 bum. I wonder where you are, and whether your ale has come and gone. And he looks at Aldor, who kind of,
Oh, boy.
rolls his eyes a little bit and says, Masters, may I introduce the unwilling bard of this town? His name is Geb, and he's a rogue and a trickster. And Geb says, Trickster and rogue as it does, sir. And he bows low with his hat swept wide and then swings it back on his head. And he says, and as for trickster, and suddenly you notice, Inga, that the 4 coins are gone from the table. And then the man takes out from behind the ear of Aldor, who he's referred to, a trickster wouldn't give you back your gold. And he hands him the 4 gold. And Aldor takes them from him and looks at them suspiciously. And he says, be off with you. You mean no good to anyone here. And Geb says, slander, sir, slander and trickery. I mean nothing but happiness to everyone here, and I'm part of what makes it possible for people to enjoy your falling horse. And the Aldor mutters, it's the falling goat. He says, yes, anyway, there is no need for anyone to pay. And he puts the 4 coins back and pushes them over to you, Inga, and he says, I shall pay for them. You can put it on my tab. And Aldor looks at him and says, you don't have a tab. And he says, well, yes, then, perhaps you can pay for it temporarily. And he pushes the coins back over to Aldor. But I shall pay you back. For one thing can be said of Geb. I have played music for kings, and I can see the mystery of these 4 individuals will be the ticket that I need for even more lovely storytelling. All right, be off with you, Aldor. Get whatever it is that they asked for. I find these people fascinating. And he pulls out a chair, and he sort of flips it around and puts it down and sits on it with, like, other
Jonathan
ways.
Frakes.
Yeah. And sort of puts his head on his arms that are crossed, and he says, now I must ask you, sir, and he's speaking to you, Tawny, you look like a Bjorning. I can tell. Your massive shoulders. It's astonishing. I've heard amazing things about you. Would you be so kind as to tell me anything about your people, anything at all? I would be pleased to be able to enter it in a record that I'm making. It is a story, a song, really, of every race within Middle-earth, and it begins with these lovely people, and he sweeps his arm out wide to the empty, largely tavern, and it ends with you. Would you, sir, tell me about the Bjornings, the changers of shape? Is that true? Do they change shape, really?
And Tawny just sort of stares at him for a few moments and then glances over towards the tavern keeper and looks over at Robar and says, you know, our host would seem to be getting on a bit in years and having a bit of back trouble. Perhaps you might consider tending the fire.
Good idea.
Yep, getting a bit chilly in here.
You said that to him?
To Robar.
Oh, to Robar. Okay. All right.
Yep.
You do
I
that,
will.
Robar?
I will indeed.
Okay. You walk over to the fire. Now, as you walk over there, you will be, by necessity, passing by the elf at the table. Are you going to say anything to her or just continue to... I'm not trying to put you into any conversation you want to have, but you're going to be right
I
there.
am.
Okay,
Yeah,
well...
Is the Dunedain gonna hit on the elf, on the elf woman? Is that what's gonna happen?
we both work.
Meanwhile, like River turns to Tawny and just kind of whispers, I really hope this isn't my dream. I'd like to think I can dream up better musicians than this.
He says, my lady, I happen to have spectacular hearing in addition to perfect pitch, and were it not for your obvious radiant loveliness, I would be deeply offended. Instead, I am but heartsick and wounded, for indeed there is no cruelty as worse as that of a woodman.
This wound
Inga
you
looks
speak
like
of-
she's gonna throw up any second.
This wound you speak of, is it mortal?
He says,
Um,
perhaps, sir, but it is a mortal wound that all of us suffer from. Some take longer to expire than others. Dring! And he spins around you several times, and then he hands out to you what looks like your honey cake. Like, it looks like your honey cake, but you're not missing a honey cake.
This guy, I'm gonna ask the thing again of like,
Sure.
because the long song that he's talking about, there is such a song about like all the races in Middle Earth, right?
Yes, although, yeah, but like whether he would know that or whether this was one of those like, guess what I'm doing? Like, I'm sure he wasn't the only one to
Yeah.
have that idea. You know
Oh
what
no,
I
I was just wondering if like he was the origin of it or
I
not.
was gonna say you're creating a paradox.
Not
yeah,
sure.
yeah, no,
Not sure.
not sure. Yeah. River will sort of ask, just out of this project in which you're engaged, are you aware of the lay of insert name of famous person in her time, or famous person of long lineage extending at this point, who wrote the other one, presumably?
Okay. So someone that he might be expected to know, in other words?
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, Indeed I do, madam. Are you a bard, then? Is it possible that your loveliness is only exceeded by your skill in song? Oh, please, I would be so thankful to you if... And then he puts down the honey cake, which the minute you look at it, Tawny, actually sort of folds into what looks like a napkin. It's almost like he held this napkin somehow in a certain way, and it kind of, like falls to the ground. And he's over to you now talking, River, and he says, would you be able to tell me some lines of this song? It is so difficult, for some to understand the value of our music, and music is so lovely. It is, of course, the note that soothes the savage horse, a saying that is original to me, by the way. And he spins several times again, and then he presents to you, he says, would you be willing to play it upon my lute? And he holds it out to you. His lute, you notice, is very scratched and broken, but there are several runes that are written like on the outside, on both sides of it, or they look like runes. And then as you look more closely, you can see that it says, spelled out in very clear language, THEGREATGEB. So
Wait,
the
wait,
Great
wait.
Geb.
TH?
Right. Like,
It
The
stands
Great
for
Geb.
the Great Geb. But he's
Wow.
done it in like some kind of runic script, so it looks all really impressive, and and so he holds it out to you.
River says, I would be honored, yes, and just kind of doesn't, it's not even that she looks over at everyone else, but that she's very deliberate in her movements of, yes, I am definitely going to engage you and your attention for some time now. And will like accept the lute and like tune it a little bit differently to address whatever infelicities it clearly has, and
Okay. Yeah, it's badly out of tune. Like burn, dun, 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 dun. Whoa, ow!
ow!
What was that?
Oh,
That hurt a lot.
oh, that was bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
that hurt a lot.
oh God, yes.
Does anyone have any idea what happened?
I
Anyone-
didn't hear a thing.
Terry's looking suspiciously at her headphones.
She's the only one who didn't hear a thing. Wait a minute.
Was that not you being deliberate? I thought
No,
that
no,
was
no,
you-
no, no. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, it sounds
sounds
like
a bit like-
it sounds like pain.
That's pretty funny though, actually. But no, I was
Yeah.
not. I was not doing that at all.
Timing was beautiful.
Ow, that hurt.
It absolutely felt like, in Asterix and Obelix books when Assurance Tourix, which is the one in French, whatever his name is in English.
Asterix.
No, the bard, the bad bard.
Oh, Cacophonics.
Cacophonics. Yeah.
Cacophonics, there we go. Yeah, I read it in French, so it was, anyway. Yeah, whenever he plays and you get the little squiggly notes.
That's what that sounded like.
That's what that sounded like. So yeah, so River, like, strums a little bit and visibly winces and tries to, like, and just kind of goes, what beautiful, beautiful instrument. Let me, if I may, and just kind of keeps tuning it and stuff.
Okay. As you're doing that, I'm going to jump over to Robar by the fire. Robar, what do you say to the elf?
Also, biobreak.
As I like stoke the fire, I look up from the fire and say, "Greetings,
She says.
Be right back.
Robar Staunton of the Dunedain."
She says, "Hello, my name is Rodwin of Mirkwood. Are you just in town then?"
You could say that, yes. We're new here.
Oh, it's odd though. You seem to fit in so well. But I am glad to find anyone who is of new company. How long do you plan to be here? Just passing through?
Just passing through, I guess, trying to figure out what's the lay of the land here, if you will.
And she says, well, you've come to one of the merriest places, I think, in all of Middle-earth, or at least that's how the people here see it. It is it's an energetic place, I'll definitely say that. I came in here for a bit of respite, if I might. It has been quite loud and busy outside.
Yes, I can see that. They all seem to be awaiting the return of their master.
Yes.
As an elf of Mirkwood, there's an acquaintance of mine who I wonder if maybe is a mutual friend. Her name is Irame.
Irame. And she thinks and she says, well, I do, of course, know of a elven child of that name, but no one that I have seen of late. But of course we know of her. Do you know Irame?
In a way, yes. Met with her before, and this might sound crazy, but the child has great powers. And she dreams, like many of your kin do. And has dreams that can show you things, show you places that don't exist now. Does that make any sense to you?
And she pauses and she says, not entirely. And then she stops and she says, but dreams have been quite common of late among our people as well. There is
Really?
word of a new darkness, in the Mirkwood to the east. There was a respite for many years, and it was hoped that the shadow had departed Mirkwood, but the tales claim that recently there has been smoke and foulness coming from the Hill of Sorcery in southern Mirkwood. That is south from where I usually wander, but I think the shadow never truly departed our forest. For me, I do not know if the present trouble is but a passing darkness, or if some power has once again inhabited Dol Guldur. It is a dark place. If there are dreams, what dreams may come when it is inhabited again, I would not like to think.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm so sorry, guys.
It's all good.
It's okay.
Well, that makes sense. Have you ever heard of dreams showing you the past? Perhaps there's meaning in the past that we have to seek before we can move forward to our future.
And she smiles and says, it's a common understanding among my people that you must understand your past before you can consider the future. We have spent much of our time in that place. But that future is many, many hundreds of years to come from now, I would think.
Of course. Perhaps we will live to see it, you and I. But tell me then, another name that perhaps you're familiar with. If I think that if Irame is right, maybe you do know this name. One of Staunton. It's a family name of mine. Perhaps you've heard of our people.
Staunton. I think I may have heard of the Stauntons, but they, of course, are not from the forest, but far north of here.
That's right.
On the outskirts of the mountains, even. Yes, if you are one of them, welcome. I know little of them, though. Most of my time is spent within Mirkwood, I'm afraid.
Naturally. Perhaps you'd like to meet my friends. They've traveled with me and seen a lot. They are also friends of Irame.
I would be happy to meet any friends of one who has seen Irame. And of course, I'm always find mortals to be interesting. Oh, no offense meant. Some of my people, you see, are confused as to why I find humans and those even of the Dunedain to be endlessly fascinating, but I do. I've always found you to be of real interest. So much energy and excitement.
No offense is taken. It's the first time anyone's ever said that Robar is full of energy.
I know, he's like, right, exactly. Well, from her point of view, right? So she stands up, and as she's about to walk over with you, the door flies open, and Haleth sticks his head in, and he says, "Oh, masters, it's the alderman! The alderman is coming! The alderman is coming right now. And he's pointing frantically behind him. He says, but you won't be able to see it from here. There's way too many people. You should go to the second floor and look out the windows. It's so exciting. And he sort of runs like, closes the door again, and he says, he runs past and then he stops and he says, oh, and I made sure that the animals were safe. I placed them in a small little stable that's right by the inn. It's completely safe, but I wanted to see this. Oh, it's so exciting. Come. And Aldor says, here, lad, no, wait a minute. Oh, well. And he says, oh, and he sort of, as he's coming over to you with the mugs, he says, oh, that lad. Haleth is a good sort, but far too excitable. But if there is a procession, well, it is good to see the alderman coming back. You are welcome to watch the procession from the second floor. I will go up there myself, in time. And he turns with his back sort of being held. Like, you can tell it's going to take a little while for him to hobble up the stairs. And Rodwin says, I am happy to meet your friends, but perhaps we should look at this procession first. And Geb said, yes.
Perhaps, yes.
The procession. Finally, we get a chance to see the return of the leaders. And he doesn't have anything to play, of course, because the river is still holding and tuning the guitar, so he just sort of dances in place. And then he also goes to the stairs. Are you all going to go up as well, or?
Let's go.
Yes.
Okay, so when you get up to the second floor, at the end of the hallway, basically, so there's like rooms on either side of the hallway, and at the end of the hallway is a window, out of which you all, fairly decent-sized window, out of which you all crowd around and look out, and Geb actually pulls up the window so you can hear the sound. You hear shouts and people yelling about the alderman has returned, the alderman is here. And Haleth points and says, look, there you can see, it is his golden wagon. And you can see that there is a man sitting on the front seat of the wagon. And there are some guards that are walking next to the wagon. And behind them are a large number of men in strange red armor. I would like everyone to make insight checks for me, please. Okay. Rabar has insight in the walls. Okay. For Tani and Inga and for the river, you have a growing sense of danger as this thing is coming. Like, something feels very odd to you. And you don't really see anything in particular. And you don't hear anything except excited shouts and everything. But something seems really freaky about this.
Oh, crap.
Yep.
Right. When Irame was talking about this place, she was talking about it being invaded, was it? Or I'm trying to remember like the specifics of what she said about it was beautiful, it was great, until it wasn't, and that's the it wasn't part that I can't remember because I was getting so hungry. I was seeing spots. So what did she say?
I feel like I should have you roleplay it that way, since you were also in real life in the game as hungry. You were seeing spots. Yeah, that
I can do that.
She had talked about the idea of the that there was treachery and horrors and so forth, but whether that relates to this.
Treachery was what came to, and the traitor men, right?
Yes.
So River says to everyone, like suddenly looking to Inga and to Robar, poor Robar facing the wall, just Arame's words. She spoke of she said that there was treachery and the traitor men. Oh, what did she say? The town fell to the traitors or to treachery. Do you remember?
Traitor?
Yes.
Oh, I thought she said traitor.
Oh. I may have been slightly hungry at the time.
Oh, these elves and their thick accents.
And Rodwin sort of puts a hand on your shoulder, River, and says, I was not with you and your companions, but I feel something too. Perhaps we should... And at this point, the procession has stopped in the middle of the market square, and the crowd has drawn in close to sort of hear what the alderman has to say. And you can see that the alderman is this tall man. He has a very fine torque of gold, like this necklace.
Wait a second.
Go ahead, Inga. Yeah.
You just mentioned the necklace, because that's something I wanted to do the entire time. Wanted to check if, like, the necklace she has still looks the same, or it's like.
So you want to pull it out and sort of compare
Well, like
in a way?
basically, like not like go like, oh, what is
No,
this
I know,
necklace
I know.
have? It like basically be like, pull it out, look at it, like.
It
closely,
sure
and then-
does look like it's very similar, except what would have happened 500 years later from this. And he's wearing this well-made armor, and he stands and raises his hands, and he says, "People of Haycombe, people of the North, your true lord has returned." And then the killing begins.
No!
And that's where we will stop the session
I
for
was
today.
gonna say that Tawny's gonna pull a Dennis on. Flee for your lives!
Inge, like I would have been like, yeah,
Then
Inge
we
climbs
will
like the
in
next
water.
best building and
I
hides
figured you were
somewhere
gonna
up
do
there
that.
and fucking
Well-
snipes people.
And then we wake up.
Yeah.
we wake up.
And then everyone went, no, not so much. All right, folks. So you got this dream escalated quickly. So yeah, so we will look to see what happens. Quick note, I love the way this adventure is constructed. I'm making adjustments to it as we go, but man, sign me up for dreamscape adventures all the time. I love stuff. Yeah, anyway. But yes, dun dun dun. So, but we are a little bit past time. But I had to get to that section because I'm like, this is the perfect breaking spot.
All right.
Yeah,
but I
the
will.
Reigns of Castamere start to play in the background.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Tren knows, of course, my friend Russ, who is part of the our vocalist, my voice team. And when I went to his wedding, which was in LA a couple of months ago, they played. That was literally their processional. Was that music? And it's a whole bunch of improv people, right? So it's like, you know, all sort of sitting there. It was pretty funny. They were all like, and some people were like, "Do you think they know what that means?" I was like, "Yes, I think they know what that means.
Yep.
They're pretty confident." Anyway, but this was, as always, a joy to be with Tolkien fans. So exciting, and it was great to get back into the swing of things.
Speaking of that, I was disappointed earlier because
In
like
what?
like when we were talking like to the Eagle Lord, and like you were like, yeah, then like he leaves and like he says like the thing, you know, and I was like, I actually had like prepared the phrase, had it like here on my screen, and was like prepared to.
Oh,
give
did
the
I say
correct
too much of
reply
it?
and just-
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
I was like, no.
Sorry, I shouldn't have gone that much
was
in. I'm
wondering.
sorry. I
I
thought
was
you
wondering
meant.
which of us.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry.
Inge would know that
reply.
one because.
The report.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
because
right.
it's a call and response technically.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes.
I thought you meant that that somehow the eagle hadn't shown enough deference to the dwarves. I'm like, no. That was no. You're right about that. I did too much call and response. My fault. Next time I will remember to just wait and just be like, so, you know.
Because I was as soon as I heard you start saying it, I was like, oh no. I was like, Tawny doesn't know the response. You
Inge
know,
would
so
know.
right. And
Like you're
Because,
just gonna be
I
like,
mean, like the whole tales of like what like Thorin and his gang did. Like that's like, you know,
Yeah.
like everybody keeps telling these stories or over and over. So like every dwarf at from the Erebor like knows it
Yep.
like completely like back to front. You know?
yep, true that. Yeah, sorry, my fault. You're right. I should have not done the full call and response. Next time I will remember and just do the call and not the response. But it was a great pleasure. I really enjoyed it, and I will start as I usually do at the bottom of the column with Mal. Mal, thank you. Wonderful stuff today. How did you feel about the things, and where will the fine people see you next?
How did I feel about the things? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like, well, just, you know, the session,
Oh my
etc.
god,
and
it was
such.
great. It was wonderful. It was pure delight. I was very. I always love when the dice. I always feel I love when the dice actually you know, take the drama and make a thing. So rolling a critical success on the persuasion audience thing was extremely satisfying.
Yes.
But also loved the sonorous eagle voice very, very much, and just like everything about this was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to sing the song, or
Yes.
part of it anyway.
I was so
and-
excited we had a chance to do it. I was like, there's got to be a place. So.
That's perfect. I really, everything about this is delightful. It's one of my favorite sessions thus far, I think, fulfilling both childhood dream of talking to eagles and you know, adults dream of having a nice pool of relaxed. Was I relaxed? I don't know. Certainly I'm happy. Oh no, my phone is ringing. Ah, sorry.
About to
Maybe that's
say-
all the people from Twitter who are like, because I love the tweets afterwards where it's like, 7-year-old me is talking to the Eagles. You can imagine
Yeah.
some people are like, what is going on? Like, what
Yeah.
happens? Like, good God. Anyway.
Yep. So I just love this very much. I'm loving all of the riddly, dreamy weirdness and stuff, and yeah, it's great. And where people can find me next. So say I'm flying to London tonight. and will be abroad for the next 2 weeks. But you can follow me on Twitter at Tithenai, Tithenai. You can subscribe to me on Drip. I'll put that link up later. And you can sign up for my newsletter on my website, which is amalelmuhtar.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm working on longer form stuff right now, so not much happening in the imminent future with stuff that you can look out for, except that I did turn in copy edits recently on Max Gladstone and my novella, This Is How You Lose the Time War. So in approximately 1 year's time, that will be out in the world. So you have a ton of time, as it were, to prepare for how awesome it's going to be. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to be on a panel with Max either at ReaderCon or at Gen Con. So
oh, fantastic.
I can't remember which one, but I've obviously met Max before, but yeah, I know you get to hang out with him all the time when doing your collaborations and such. So, but Max is good people. So
he is one of my favorite people in the world. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to see Max Gladstone out in the wild, do say hello, because he is so great.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Well, safe trip, Mal, and we will see you back here in 3 weeks.
I'm sadly going to have to dash now as well, because I'm supposed to meet someone at 3:30. So
that's totally cool. Are you able to leave things up for the windows or not? If you can,
yes,
I'll just
yes,
okay.
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right,
that's
good.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
All right. Moving right on up the line, we have, of course, Tarry, who did a wonderful job, as usual with Inga, and my apologies for no call and response. I'll do better next time. But how did you feel about stuff otherwise, and where will the fine folks be able to see things of yours next, drawings or otherwise?
Well, I'm certainly glad I watched the VOD in advance.
Yeah,
because otherwise I would have been a bit lost about what happened. Like, we met the Eagles? What?
Yep.
But yes, no, this was great fun. And I mean, Inge is not so happy about the current situation.
Well, right, yeah, this kind of sucks, like in game at the moment, you know.
Yeah,
but...
no, not just like the whole thing was like, oh, suddenly invasion, but like, you know, elven magic stuff does not sound too great to most dwarves, I think.
Yes, that's true. Although you got, at least you got the, there was some eagle love, so you're like, all right, that's cool, but then, you know, so.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, like being stuck in like some type of elven magic dream is like not her time, like not her idea of a fun time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah.
Agree. But where will the fine people see you next, though?
Yeah, over here, next week.
Yes.
Week. Yes. For Lone Wolf is next week, right?
Yes, Lone Wolf is next week.
Yes, and I will be here for that.
Which is going to be awesome, doing live illustration, which is always a treat. If you guys have not seen that, you should definitely check it out, because it's awesome. Tarry is really gifted, so. And works really hard, not just gifted, but also works hard.
What book are we doing though this time?
It's the last Lone Wolf book that we're going to do for a little bit, because then we're going to try some other stuff. But this Lone Wolf book is the last in the Kai series, and I think it's Shadow on the Sand is the name of it. So it's book 6, I think. Book 5, that's right, and it's the last of that series. And then we will try a couple of others. Before we go back to Fighting Fantasy, there's a couple of other ones that I may try from other series as well, although I'm going to have to figure out how to actually stream that. But anyway, that's a problem for future Greg to deal with. Right now, this is what I know, so yes. But it will be great fun. Definitely check out Terry's Patreon as well.
Yes, I do have one.
Which she should link right at this moment.
Yes, I shall. Fine.
Okay. All right, Dad. But yeah, always a pleasure to have Terry back on board, and yeah, it was good to have you back as always, Terry. I'm looking forward to next week. Moving right on up the line, of course. Will, this was great stuff too. We got definitely there was a lot of work that was able to be done, I think, with Robar sort of, kind of really sort of drilling down a little bit on, what's going on with his sister and all that kind of stuff. So how'd you feel about stuff, and where will the fine people see you next?
I super enjoyed it. Any chance I get to do like a dream sequence I find super interesting. It reminds me a lot of some sequences in Dragon Age Origins that I remember really enjoying, and it's just like a perfect excuse for the GM to like exposit without being just telling you stuff.
Right.
So it's like really fun narrative device for you to do, but also for us to play through, because then you actually get to live through those experiences and live through the history a little bit, which is super cool for me as well, because someone I enjoy Tolkien, I enjoy the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, but I am not a super buffed up sort of nerd on the lore side of things. So when someone says like, "Oh, this is Happy Lothalith from this place," I'm like, "Okay, cool." But yeah, actually living through it is like cool. I can put faces to names and like feel like I know a little bit more about what's going on and what. So I really enjoyed that. As for myself, goodness, I find my favorite Encounter roleplay most days. Things are happening. Exciting things are happening. I think we might be going to TwitchCon. Actually, is a thing that will be fun. So that will be exciting. But yeah, you can follow me over there. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at EncounterRP. I'll put some links and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking. Next time we play
3 weeks. So it's it's the 31st actually. So 3 weeks from today.
Cool. So I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah, awesome.
Good stuff. Thank you, Will. As always, great pleasure. And yeah, definitely check out Will's stuff. Will plays this bewildering array of. I do 5 campaigns now, and that's still pales in the face of how much that he does. But Will does good stuff, so you should definitely check his work out. Thank you, Will, as always. And finally, last but certainly not least, Tren. Wonderful stuff with Tani today, and man, Tani had some. There were some big roles Tani had to make here early on, especially. So, how did you feel about stuff? And again, where will the folks see you?
I felt a little bit tense.
Just a touch.
Certain points there. I would say that the next time we get together, I'm willing to surrender my roles to Will so that he can roll better.
Anytime.
But I'm not sure you want your healer rolling badly. So
I'm sure you don't.
We'll see how it goes. I'm really happy that it worked out. It's always great to have an eagle buddy when you need one. This dream sequence has got me a little bit, confusticated. Well, Tawny's about this close to just nudging Inga and Robar and saying, "Put an arrow through his throat right now." Right where he is, just right now. But something I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about bears. I think we were talking at the very beginning of the show. We were talking about Wi-Fi, microwaves, and bears. And I forgot the shirt that I'm wearing, which is the Baroness Essays.
Yeah.
Honey, Antsy Wi-Fi.
Nice.
And I was like, wait a minute, I'm wearing the shirt that's perfectly appropriate for this.
Nice.
So yeah, where can you guys see me next? Hopefully, if schedules hold true, this evening on Video Store Cowboys channel for the City of Mist. If not that, then on Thursday on Not So Speedruns channel for City of Mist, and then on Friday back here for
Emberwind, assuming I'm able to do it. Yeah, again, that's still hopefully, but hopefully yes.
Which is why when you look at your calendar, it says possible.
Because otherwise I just have this image of because my family's gonna be with me and there's internet, who knows, and so but I will make the attempt.
And then then I believe the following week would be on Thursday again, and then D&D eventually, but just follow me on Twitter, just at Trendane. I always tweet whenever I'm doing something, and that's the easiest thing to do.
And when's the next Escape Pod thing, presumably?
I recorded it yesterday. I have to edit the thing, and these guys got to hear the first paragraph of it. So the deadline for me to finish it is the 20th, so it'll probably be posted a week or two after that.
Okay, cool.
So probably sometime in August.
You folks should definitely check it out because this was one of the easier ones that he's had to do. So you should definitely check out. I know he couldn't say that with a straight face. You should definitely check out Tren's work. And you're going to hear more of Tren's work when you hear the audiobook of Greyshade.
Yes.
And there is going to be news about that coming down the pike in the not distant future. So I am looking forward to saying more about that. But for now, I'm going to let these folks go because I have to talk quickly about the Arvanaut Idol 3 semifinalists, and then I got to get ready for my GG stream. So I will let these folks go. Thank you to Terry. Thank you to Will. Thank you to Trending. You guys are the best. And I will see all of you in 3 weeks' time or before that at various places. Thanks, everyone. Chat, can we get some love for the players? Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So that is going to do it for them. That is going to do it for... And let me get out of this very quickly. Okay, that is going to do it for them. Now, what we need to do is two things, and I've got to do it fairly quickly because I have a bunch of stuff that I've got to get to. Let me just make sure that I've got all of this stuff set up. Hold on a second. Got a bunch of stuff that I've got to get to. And... there we go. A bunch of stuff that I got to get to as I get ready for GOG. So now what I am happy to announce here is the semi-finalists for Arvanaut Idol 3. Now, for those of you who don't know, Arvanaut Idol 3 is my short story contest. Arvanaut Idol is my short story contest. This is the third version of it. And the previous two winners are Classicor and Kilobyte. And now we have a new set of semi-finalists that will be up against each other. Now, I'm going to announce the two semi-final dates, and I'm going to announce the semi-finalists. I'm then going to try to contact each of them individually and let them know that they have a choice of one of those two. If they can't do either semi-final, then they're going to unfortunately forfeit their place within the competition because there's just no way to do this. The way it's going to work is that they're going to come to my stream during that time. We are going to be playing something else or doing something else. I'm going to give a line, a prompt. So basically like the day that the statue moved, everything changed or something like that. And then they're going to use that line and they're going to use that to make a new story, to basically build a story out of it. I will give them between 90 minutes or 2 hours, something like that, to be able to do something like that. And then they will come back. I will then read the stories, obviously anonymously, so the chat will not know who did what. And then chat will vote. And the top vote getters, basically the top vote getters out of each category will, and we have 6 semifinalists, by the way. The top 2 vote getters out of the 3 semifinalists in each one will go on to the final round. So they'll go on to the final category in which 4 people will compete for the title of Arvanaut Idol 3. And so I am happy now to announce the 6 semifinalists. And again, I will try to speak to those people directly. So here we go. The 6 semifinalists for Arvanaut Idol 3 are as follows. I should have a drum roll here. Right? Semifinalist number 1 is Morinda. Morinda, M-O-R-I-N-D-A. Morinda is semifinalist number 1. Semifinalist number 1 is Morinda. Dun, dun, dun. That is semifinalist number 1. Semifinalist number 2 is Dragon Spear. Dragon Spear is semifinalist number 2. Dragon Spear, our own Dragon Spear, is semifinalist number 2. Dun, 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 dun. And yes, that is correct, gamer. You actually just gave a gift sub to the person who is a semifinalist. So, all right, Morinda and Dragon Spear, the first 2. The third semifinalist is Fleos. Fleos, one of my fellow GOG streamers, also Canadian. Just because we have Canadians everywhere, wherever we look, is the third semifinalist. Fleos will be the third semifinalist, joining Morinda and Dragon Spear. The fourth semifinalist, Pyron the head of the GOG stream team, also a GOG stream member. Pyron There's Fleos. Fleos is one of the semifinalists. Pyron is also one of the semifinalists. Dun, 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 dun. All right, who are the 2 that will be joining them? The fifth semifinalist is Rala Song. Rala Song is the 5th semifinalist. Rala Song. Dun, 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 dun. The 5th semifinalist is Rala Song. And the 6th and final semifinalist, the 6th and final semifinalist in Arvanaut Idol 3 is Geronimo 403. Geronimo 403. Geronimo 403 is the 6th and final semifinalist. So there you go, folks. The 6 semifinalists for Arvanaut Idol 3 are Morinda, number 1, Dragon Spear, number 2, Fleos, number 3, Pyron number 4, Rala Song, number 5, Geronimo 403, number 6. These are in no particular order, by the way, so these are just all semifinalists. I didn't rank them at all. These are the 6 semifinalists. Now, the 6 semifinalists will need to be able to come to one of the 2 following dates. Please, if you are a semifinalist, please try to make sure that you're available for both dates so that I will have flexibility in scheduling. Please, in the name of all that is holy, have pity on me. Please be flexible, because we need to have it be flexible. So here we go. The two semifinals are going to take place on the following 2 days. First of all, Tuesday the 17th. So it is going to take place 1 week from today during this time slot. So from 12 to 3, Tuesday the 17th. Now, the way this is going to work is that Tarry and I are going to be doing Lone Wolf. We are going to do 2 hours worth instead of our normal 3 hours. During that third hour, you will come back with your short stories, and then I will read the short stories and chat will vote. So there are, again, to be clear, there will be, that is the first semifinal, Tuesday the 17th from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern. So that's a week from today. The second semifinal will take place 2 weeks from today in the evening. So 2 weeks from today, Tuesday the 24th in the evening, and it will probably take place around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So normally I don't have a stream during that time, so I'm going to be adding a stream in for that purpose. So Tuesday the 17th is going to be during my normal 12 to 3 slot. Tuesday the 24th is going to be the evening between 8 and 11 p.m. probably. 8 and 11, 8 to 12, something like that is when that will be happening. After those are done, I will then schedule the final, which will probably be held sometime in that next week, but it will depend a little bit on schedules and things like that. So again, the semifinals will be Tuesday the 17th from 12 to 3, Tuesday the 24th in the evening from like 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern, something like that. Please make sure you mark your calendars, and please try to be available for both. If you would rather do one than the other, that's fine, but please try not to completely lock one out entirely if you can at all avoid it, because I've got to try to figure out how to schedule everything, so that would be much appreciated. So congratulations again to the 6 semifinalists. Congratulations to Marinda, Dragonspear, Fleos, Pyron Jade, Rala Song, and Geronimo. Thank you to the semifinalists. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Now, with that said, we do have one other thing that we have to do today, and that's assuming that I can actually get this up and running, because I'm running very late on time. Because things went a little bit later with this session, which is because it was awesome and all that. And that is, we need to do nominations for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And so, let me pull up Arvbot. Where are you, Arvbot? There you are. Lovely. Okay, I am just going to get this ready here. Okay, and start Arvbot. There we go. Arvbot is running. Now, I will be playing this game. Final vote on this will be held in 2 weeks, and then will be held, next week, and then I'll be playing this game during this slot the week afterwards. So, I will take nominations now. Only one nomination per person, please. Dragonspear has got Red Alert 2 in there, so you are in the mix. So Red Alert 2. What else would people like to see me play? I reserve the right to veto horror games. I can play PlayStation 4 games. I can theoretically play older style games like Retron games. I have Virtual Console on my Wii U. I also have my Retron. So, and of course I play PC games are the easiest for me to stream, but whichever. So, well, you tell me which one, Nonstop. Which one do you want? Growl Lancer 2 or 3? I will put up whichever one you prefer. Star Lancer. What is Star Lancer, Esther? Oh, they come together? All right, well, let's start with 2 then. Star Lancer. Okay, so we got Red Alert 2, Growl Lancer 2, and Star Lancer. What else? 5? Is that a game? Is there a game called 5? I have not heard of a game called 5. Oh, we're talking about what game you would like to see me try. It's the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. So I'm taking nominations, just one nomination per person. So, game from around 2000. That's cool. Yeah, it sounds vaguely familiar to me, Esther, Star Lancer. I wonder if it's on GOG. Anyway, I'll find it if I end up playing it, if we end up choosing that one. So, Return to... Oh, you'd like me to do some Lord of the Rings Online? Okay. Of the Rings Online. All right. Lord of the Rings Online. I can do that. So that's 4. 2 more. Again, only one nomination per person. So if anyone is not nominated, now is the time. 2 more nominations. Okay, I'll see if I can track it down, Esther. Red Alert 2, Ground Lancer 2, Star Lancer, Lord of the Rings Online. Anybody else? Any other nominations? Now is the time. Not now is the time. 80 Days, I'm only going to veto it because I've already played through that game, Lucathea. I liked 80 Days a lot, but I already played it. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I'm not complaining. I mean, I liked 80 Days. Yeah, no, Five Nights at Freddy's. First of all, you already nominated one, gamer. Secondly, I reserve the right to veto horror games. Oh, man, Five Nights at Freddy's. Not a chance. Okay, so going once, going twice here. Last chance to nominate from anyone who is not yet nominated. And okay, here we go. The poll is, what we're going to do is we'll now take these ones. I'll play the remake, yeah. So here we go, guys. Here are the 4. Now, you're going to vote for these right now. The top vote getters, really the top 3 vote getters, are going to end up in a straw poll, which then everyone will have a chance to vote on over the next week. So now is when you guys get your vote in. $ vote space, and then the number of the one you'd like to vote for. Please do that for either vote 1 if you want Red Alert 2, vote 2 if you want Growlancer 2, vote 3 if you want Starlancer, vote 4 for Lord of the Rings Online. So get on right now and please put in your thoughts. And again, I will take the top 3 vote getters. Fleos is all about the Red Alert 2. All right, let's see what we got. Master Blaster is a game. No, other way. Isn't that the other way around though, Cosmo? You're talking about Blaster Master, right? Blaster Master was good. Actually, I played Blaster Master. I rented that game so many times from my local video store when I was a kid, and I could never beat that game. It was so freaking hard. I loved Blaster Master, but I just could not get through it. Oh, man. Yeah, man. Lucathea, you got to, because these games, having the games ready to nominate can definitely help. Yeah, I saw that he was playing it. I didn't have a chance to watch him play it. It's like called Zero or something. Blaster Master Zero or Blaster Zero. Okay, we're going to last call this, folks. We need the 3 top ones. We can't have all of these in there. So we've got Red Alert 2, Starlancer. We need a vote for either Growlancer 2 or Lord of the Rings Online so we can make that the 3rd of the possibilities. This is the Blaster Master theme, by the way. All right, there it is. Questionable results with a vote 4. All right. Poll is closed. Okay, if someone, Dragonspear, if you would be so kind as to put together a straw poll, which we can link up to next game, with Red Alert 2, Starlancer, and Lord of the Rings Online. Those are the 3 possibilities. And fear not, Nonstop. Remember, I think it was even you. Wasn't it you who tried to get me to play, tried to put a game up for vote, and I finally did play it? I don't even remember what the game was now, but there was a game you tried for 4 or 6 months maybe, and you finally got it through. I can't remember what it was, though. Breath of Fire 3, and I did, and not only did I play it, but it's literally on my list, man. It's literally on my list I'm going to be playing Uncharted 2, doing that, then finishing Toonstruck, Lone Wolf HD, and then Deus Ex Human Revolution. Breath of Fire 3 is after that. So there's an outside chance I could get to that this year. You may even see me play it. Yeah, that's the problem, Lucathea. Exactly. I really wish Lord of the Rings Online were a more modern engine. I really enjoyed it a lot when I played it. I actually played a Warden. But there was a certain stage where I was just like, oh my God, the grind is real. And I don't love grinding in MMOs. And frankly, unfortunately, a lot of MMOs are that way. I've played a ton of MMOs. Probably the one that's the least like that is the Elder Scrolls Online. But the problem there is that, frankly, I don't love the lore of the Elder Scrolls. Like, it's okay, but it's not really my bag. Now, if you put the Elder Scrolls engine, but you put that with the Lord of the Rings lore, sign me up. But still. You'll beg to go back to Lotri? Yeah. It's good stuff. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you very much. So we've got the straw poll. That is the one you want. And we're going to be, so you want to vote there. And we're going to be linking that to the next game command, which would be awesome. Okay. Clear votes. And let's get rid of that. Cool. All right, folks. Now that is going to do it for me. I have got to get ready here because it is late, much later than I usually stop. So I got to rise up on out of here. I want to thank everyone for being here and thank you for watching what was a really fun session. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really, love the Tolkien campaign, and it's a lot of fun to play with people that are all fans of Tolkien also. So thank you so much. And I hope you will make sure to follow the channel, do all the things, follow the channel, support the channel. We had a few people who subbed. Thanks again, Gamer, for giving Marinda that gift sub. We also had a resub from Tarry. So thank you if you were a resub or if you did a new sub today. Thank you, and please consider doing that because that definitely helps the channel. Don't forget the YouTube, !ArvTube, Discord, !ArvCard. Don't forget the Twitter, !Arv tweets. Don't forget the shop, !Arv shop. And again, Patreon, !ArvTreon, right there. And last but certainly not least, the sub button, which is sitting right above that video window. All of those things really help the channel, so thank you all so much. More of this will be coming soon. Now I'm going to be heading over to GOG in about 10 minutes, where I am going to be continuing my playthrough of BattleTech. It was going to be D&D, but it got pushed back to next week because of one of the players not having internet yet after a move, so they will have that next week. So this time we'll be continuing our playthrough of BattleTech. Then on Friday, hopefully on Friday, we are going to be playing the second and concluding session of Emberwind. I'll be doing that live from ReaderCon in Boston. Again, if any of you were in the Boston area, specifically Quincy, Massachusetts, please stop by the Quincy Marriott. I have 4 panels there. I'm going to be doing a panel on dragons, a panel on redemption narratives, a panel on story and narrative in games, and a panel on games and interactive fiction. So definitely stop by and check it out because I am interested in all those panels, and I'm also doing a reading as well. Would love to see any or all of you for that. And otherwise, I will be back here again, hopefully for a stream on either Friday or Saturday with doing the Emberwind stuff, but definitely next Tuesday I'll be back here with Tarry and Lone Wolf and semifinal 1 of Arvanite Idol 3, and then D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. So that is that's the way this is. Yeah, you can go to it, Gamer, because it's actually for readers at even more than it is for writers. So I think you would need to get, though, like a badge at the door. Like you need to register at the door. I don't remember what it costs, to be honest with you. But once you do that, then you can definitely jump in and you can sit at a couple of panels, including my panels if you like. You can see my schedule. If you go to the ReaderCon website and look for my schedule with my name, Gregory Wilson, you'll see me there and you'll be able to check out panels. I would love to see you there. That would be awesome. So that's going to do it for me, though, guys. I got to get up, rise up and out of here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my wonderful players for a wonderful session again. Thank you to Cubicle 7 for officially sponsoring this. Lone Wolf 5, Lupus Extremis, exactly, Lucathea. Thank you to everybody. Congratulations to the Arvanite Idol 3 semifinalists, and I will see all of you lovely people over at GOG in about 9 minutes. That's it for me. Catch you guys soon. You're all the best. Love you. Best viewers on Twitch. And until I talk to you soon, everyone be good to each other. Have a good day.